Make sure it's working.
I shouldn't be.
Hey, Josh.
No, but.
Okay, you guys are live here.
Okay, let me know.
And then let me get you,
No, exactly.
where's my Zoom? Now we are
When I.
good to go.
Okay, dokie. Good morning, everyone. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Grace County Commission, July 8th, 2025. Everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Zorn,
Here.
Edlin,
Here.
Averill,
Here.
Elfin,
Here.
and Trampy's here on that one. So first thing is approval of the agenda. Do you have, you want to take a
You
peek
guys
at it?
cannot.
Oh, we can't do anything, can we?
Yep, no, you're a
That's right.
special meeting, so you.
Especially when you
cannot
can't do anything, so we have to approve it though, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I need a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda by Zorn. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Averill. All in favor of approving the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carried. Okay. Next, we need approval of the June 23rd and July 7th meeting minutes. My guys want to take a peek at that for me second and see what you guys think. Any additions or corrections to it?
I make a motion to approve the minutes and dispense with the reading.
Okay. Motion by Edlin, they will do just that.
I'll second it.
A second by Ellison. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Same opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Bills. You guys want to take a look at the bills for me, please? There's a few in there. Anything that stands out? Ma'am?
There is one,
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
the first one on your page, the county, the Abused Persons Outreach Center,
Yeah.
that is that County Victim Advocate
Yep.
Fund that we are draining. Sending all of those monies to that outreach center in Valley City. So that's the $9,000.
Yep.
That's, just fines, a little bit of each something, of a fine goes into a pot, an account, and then that can only be used for certain things. And this is the one thing. If you
That's the one
remember.
that Kelly kind of
Yes,
oversees.
yep,
Okay.
yep. So
Yep.
then this is that, paying that out. So that's what
Okay.
that is. Other than that, I didn't see anything else.
Anything from the road department, Wayne?
Nope. We
Alright.
paid for that snowplow.
Well, that's the 19,000 is. Okay,
Did it show up?
Yeah, we had it.
Yeah,
okay.
Perfect.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
Okay, motion by Edlin to approve the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah, before I forget, any discussion? Any discussion? One last time, any discussion? I'll do a roll call vote on this because it's money. Zorn,
Aye.
Edlin,
Aye.
Averill,
Aye.
Ellison,
Aye.
and Tremby votes aye. So, motion carried. Okay. Wayne, you're up. Road superintendent.
Come on down, Wayne. Take your chair.
Get your,
It's right there.
It's the hot seat.
The hot seat.
so I understand there's a letter to the DOT, which I don't have a copy of.
There. Oh, hang on. I just read it this morning, actually. Yeah, that Lauren put together. There you go, Wayne.
I know we've talked about it before, how rough number one is from Highway 200 north all the way to Beacon, I believe. I think they did some work from the county line north last night.
Okay,
There hasn't been anything major done for quite a while. And I know Mr. Elfson talked to me about maybe constructing a letter to sent to the Department of Transportation Commissioner. And this is that letter. You want me to read it or?
Yeah, why don't you read it? It don't take very long. It's pretty short. Lauren did a good job, I thought, too, in that, so.
It is a resolution from the Griggs County Commissioners for North Dakota State Highway Department to reconstruct North Dakota State Highway #1 from junction North Dakota 200 north to the Griggs County line. These sections of North Dakota #1 are late 1940s and 50s mile-per-hour design and are now unsafe for modern public traffic. The section of #1 from the junction of 200 north to the junction of Highway 65 was one of the last sections of road built with North Dakota State Highway Department forces in the late 1940s. And the section from the junction of North Dakota 65 north to Griggs County line was built by William Collins and Sons 4950. Length of #1 is unsafe for modern public safety as that doesn't meet modern North Dakota DOT 65 mile-per-hour design standards. The asphalt surface is failing for its entire length, needs modern design, sight distancing, and added shoulders to allow for safer emergency parking and the meeting of modern large farm equipment. We have heard that North Dakota DOT says there isn't enough traffic to warrant reconstruction of this road bed, but the truckers say that they try not to use it because of unsafe driving conditions. Therefore, the Griggs County Commission is requesting North Dakota State Highway Department to totally reconstruct these sections of #1 from North Dakota 200 north to the Griggs County line and signed by Griggs County Commissioners if that is approved.
What do you think, guys?
I took a look through it. I think it's fine.
What do you think, guys?
It's a good, very well written letter, and it's true. I mean, the roads are narrow, the shoulders are steep. You know, yeah, and as a rule of thumb, you know, we all kind of, everybody I know that runs, they'll usually drop down 281 and come across 200.
Yep.
You know, just because that's from Lakota all the way down, actually, is not a fun road to run on.
No, I know, I drove
And it's rough too. It's
Yeah.
not just narrow, but it's rough.
It's
Yeah, I
rough.
know. Lakota, yeah, especially Lakota Road. I don't know if they've done any work to it, but I remember taking that years ago, especially if you had a larger vehicle.
Mhm.
That's like driving a paint shaker down the road.
Yeah.
I've driven that road for the last 5 years, probably no less than 1,500 times. And, I got the death wobble on my pickup because of that road from the bump by the curve south of Binford, the bump by the road, the bump at the correction line, county line. They're ridiculous and someone's gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I drive school bus, of course, and yeah, it's a narrow road with a school bus. Besides, you know, there's not a lot of room for error, you know, so.
Well, that's a problem. A lot of truckers don't even want to drive on it. I mean,
I've actually wrecked implement tires pulling implements on Highway 1 because of that steep shoulder. It's bent rims and it's torn tires off the sidewall, they're off the leads.
Yep, I can see that. Anyway, so we need a motion to approve this, right, guys?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay.
to Approve that.
Motion by Zoran to approve the resolution to the North Dakota State Department of Transportation and Highway #1. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Second by Lauren. Okay, all in favor of approving the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Same sense opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Okay.
Get much unless you.
What else?
Clean.
I would put that on letterhead, of course.
Okay. Well, Wayne gets, should we talk about County 8 and the Red River Road real quick?
If we can.
Okay, go ahead.
So we applied for a safety grant for County Road 8. That's west of Binford. Going to McHenry and also for County Road 2 that goes from #1 into Red Willow. And they were both denied safety grants. Now they're opening again. It just started the flexible transportation fund grants are available and we're supposed to probably going to resubmit those 2 grants that we applied for and if there be any changes to them. I did look at County Road 8 yesterday. The gravel is very good at this point.
Okay.
Smooth. And it firmed up on the west end where the pavement is breaking up. Possibly, maybe we could pave over the top of it. We'd have to put more riprap out on the sides. To give a little more free zone, so you don't just drop off.
Drop off.
I think we're gonna reapply for that, and then we do have some money. Prairie dog funds. I don't remember if we have 2 years of that now,
I think we do, don't we, Sam?
or anyway. Sorry, legislature, but our great legislature did a lot of cutting of different fundings this last session. And I've got a letter here from our Association of Counties, and Association of County Engineers Executive Director Jenny Deinsman. And Jamie knows her well. And talks about all the different changes that they made in our funding. So I made copies here for, it's several pages. And I'll try to sort them together. So
Okay.
there's like 3 pages for each person. So they get one by the end of the meeting.
Okay,
See, other than that, to see the Hannaford project. Is going to be. The chip seal is going to be started on the 23rd.
the airport road.
That's the patching on County Road 19. Yep.
Okay.
And then the Hannaford project, they're looking at start to remove the old pavement and curbs July 28th.
Okay.
So we'll be moving right along.
And completion dates are roughly
It's like,
3 weeks, 4 weeks,
I
5.
think it's September, I think. or
Okay.
something. I don't have that right here, but we had a pre-construction conference last week on the chip seal,
Yeah.
and the Hannaford project will be coming up probably this next week, so.
Okay. So back to County Road, the 2 project or the County Road 8 thing. Lauren, what do you have an idea you thought you'd throw at us?
Well, I talked
Get
to
to Wayne
Wayne, I
about
mean,
this.
just giving some ideas. Probably without widening it the way the highway department did last year with all their sloughs, putting 12-foot shoulders out there and maybe just put riprap on it now and pave fix the top and pave the top with 4 inches of asphalt
Yeah.
and make it same width as the rest of the road.
Okay,
Let's see what, if we can get by with that. We need riprap, of course, being that slough is big on the north side.
Yeah, it
There's
is.
no doubt about that, but
You know,
I
it's-
think-
it's straight down,
I don't think we need dirt in there. I think they can just put rocks and get by.
should we have KLJ come next meeting, and see what they're thinking? What do you think, Wayne?
We can't, he was wondering if he should come this time, but I don't think
Yeah.
there's enough stuff for them this time. so.
That's fine.
But anyway. That's what I got. We can still work on that.
Okay.
We got those other projects to do. The bridge will be done next year. I think. So.
Okay.
I also received a priority email from DOT because there's bridge funding also. And so they had all our bridges listed and I'm supposed to prioritize which one is the most important
Okay,
for the next one. They had that listed for Decker Bridge on there too.
Good.
It's already gonna be funded,
okay, well, okay, good.
but I'll work on that.
We
Okay.
should maybe get a priority list of all road projects that we need to do, starting with the worst one first, maybe, like 8, 9 Red Willow and
Yeah.
go down. Get a list of what needs to be done, so we just have an idea.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then you had an idea in Red Willow Road what to do too, he told me earlier.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
Yeah,
we talked about, I
Yeah.
talked to Wayne about
Okay.
that milling maybe an inch off and then
yeah,
just putting an ad and, mixing that in with the mix and. We probably wouldn't have to do shoulders then if we took an inch off.
Yeah,
We'd cut out a lot of the bumps.
or 2 inches off would be better yet.
okay,
Well, whatever they can. I don't know how
Is that a 4-inch lay on there now?
Uh,
Is that a 4-inch lay on there now?
That's at least 4 inches.
Oh, well, then we could take 2 inches off if we had to.
So how would you do that? Would you just cut 2 inches off and smooth it out, or would you cut 2 inches off and put another inch over
They
it?
have milling machines, you know, they grind it
Yeah.
off to get a level surface.
Takes
Mix
out
that
most
in
of the
with hot
bumps.
Mix and then.
Yep.
Oh,
it's back.
okay.
And
Is that like they did with Highway 1 here?
Yeah.
Okay.
repair any of the damaged spots ahead of time.
Yeah, there's gonna have to be some repair to some of those spots first. so.
Wayne, I forgot to ask you yesterday, there's a counter out on the Sutton Road, is that DOT, how's that up there?
Yes, it's either Upper Great Plains Transportation or the DOT. I got an email saying that if I seen them around the county, send them on for the
Okay.
Upper Great Plains. over there.
You're the best.
Yeah, you are.
Anyway, thanks, Wayne. On
Yeah,
that one. Okay. We'll make sure we have that agenda next time again. So. Travis, you're up. IT update.
Hello. The door access control system project's going along well. Was actually just speaking with Austin here just a bit ago. They're very confident they'll be done on their scheduled. I think it's another next 2 weeks. They should have everything wrapped up for that. So, but we spoke last time about integrating the fire alarm and then the panic button system together. I did work with Josh here to get pricing on the complete project. So the electrician actually has to wire into the fire alarm panel. Electrical can't do that by code. So Josh estimated $300 for that work. So that puts the total at $2,205 for that then. So I do recommend it. I think it's a good security aspect of it. Speak with Amberly too, the ability for us to react based on the panic alarms or based on the fire alarm to do what we want for door access, whether it's locking or unlocking as needed for that project. So.
And then you said too, that's, we're still within our original budget, correct?
Yeah, so, we allocate, I believe is 190 for that. And then we also have the grant, money coming in from the court facilities grant. This just lessens the amount that we could reallocate for other projects is what's going down on that. So,
Okay. Are you looking for a motion to approve that?
yes, I guess the Electro Watchman guys can get that all set up if it's approved then. So while they're here.
So basically, it'd be in what you've done, you said it'd be within the budget we have. Correct.
Correct. Yeah, there's no addition, like of that 190, I don't think we were even at that 190, and then we're also getting grant money back from the courtroom facilities grant.
Okay.
So that pool then, you guys then will reallocate to another project. So this just lessens the amount of money that can be reallocated, I guess. There's nothing that's going over budget, I guess. I can look at it that way, I guess, but
Where are we at from what we originally bid like 187?
I thought it was like 194.
Was it?
it was under 190, I believe. I guess I would have.
I think
to
it was like
sure.
187.
And then they came at like 174, so maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe.
I'm just wondering where down to date
Yeah.
with, total cost. Do you know where we're at?
No, I guess I wouldn't. I would have to.
You guys allocated 190 to this project.
Okay,
I get there were all bids, so that quote from Electro Watchman stands as is. These are just change orders to then that.
yeah,
Add on.
that was just a question that I was asked.
Yep. Okay.
Is where we were at, because with the change orders, where was the total price becoming? So,
I have a running total of what we've spent for all the projects out of that account, but not individual projects at the moment. I can get that for you for the next meeting.
that'd be great if you
Yeah,
could.
Absolutely.
So right now we have a motion from Edlin to approve it on the panic button.
Second.
Second by Averill. Any discussion?
Up to subject to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had asked briefly last meeting or 2 meetings ago, maybe, how with the key fob situation, and if we wanted to do any kind of a time clock situation, have you looked into that at all?
I guess I haven't looked into that, but the key fobs themselves can be used for time clocks in the sense that they're HID cards or RFID cards. So they could be, if, I would recommend that we look at what other system, if you guys did want to go with the time clock system, that they're compatible with that. So then we're not having to have two different cards for that.
Could you look into that for us?
Yes, most
please?
definitely. So, yep. I guess on that note, I guess we could probably discuss that afterwards as far as what requirements you guys are looking for, or if there's anything specific I should.
Yeah,
What requirements for
time clock.
time clock?
Yeah, ours is
At your facility, do you have badges or do you use?
badges. So the same badge that lets me in the door also clocks you in. But our time clock software also, you can clock in from your phone, but you have to be in our Wi-Fi to be able to do it. You can clock
Basically at the
in
door.
on, yep, and they can clock in at the computer. So it allows you
They
to,
can't set it and cheat it type of deal.
right,
Right.
right. We learned that the hard way. We're like, wait a minute.
But I've seen that too. Like I would assume too, like as far as road crew, we have individuals that don't come to the courthouse to clock in, that they would need to be able to do that.
Right.
And I think some of those will use your GPS coordinates on your phone to be able to.
I suppose some of that would be just, if they are doing somewhere else, as long as it's approved by the supervisor, I don't think.
Yeah, and that, Wayne would look at that like, well, the gentleman clocked in, well, I know he's working on that county road. It wasn't at his home, or it was right at home when he left, because I'm not sure if that's what's covered, you get covered time you
Right.
leave your house, so.
Rather than driving all the way to here to go all the way back there, that's.
Yeah, so I assume that would be a necessity, that it's not just on premise, clocking in capability. So, okay.
But if you can get some info on that for
Yeah,
us, please.
definitely.
Okay. Any more discussion, guys? One last time in discussion. We'll do a voice vote and it's money, so. Zorn.
Aye.
Edlin,
Aye.
Avriel. Lauren,
And
and Charmy votes aye. Motion carried. Okay,
And I just got one more on item.
Yeah,
I
go
guess.
ahead.
Sorry.
go ahead.
Speaking with the department heads too, one of the things that came up is ability to have, be able to view the cameras in each office, I guess. So not all the cameras, just the front entrances for security aspect of that. So I went out, priced out, putting three TVs in the three different offices, tying into the system then for that. We're looking at around 11,977 for that project, I guess.
We are able to log into our camera system on our computers, we can, through the website, we just 10.0. Whatever, we can log into the server to put it on our computer. Is that an ability to do?
Yes and no. So we have a limited number of how many people can actually log in at the same time. I would have to look at not only because we have the sheriff's department as the priority ones. They're the ones build that. So everything connect into this. This is one login for that, and what we're using is a repeater, basically, or a splitter to take that one signal and repeat it 3 times instead of having 3 separate connections, because each one would take resources off of that system for doing that. I guess that's how we have it set up currently in the sheriff's office. We have one device, and then we have it on multiple TVs, so we're not taking up connection every time for that, I guess. But
Okay. Yep.
and maybe that ties into when we get budget together as far as
Look at that.
what's all available. If then if this is something you guys would consider moving forward with, but it was asked upon me for the department heads as far as I think that would be a security a benefit for them to be able to see the front door cameras, some of the hallway cameras from people walking for stuff. So, but
Okay. Anything else there, Travis?
no, I think like I said, everything's going well with the
Okay.
door lock access control system. So, gentlemen
We're
are
coming
on.
right along, so
Yep, we're on track
probably
here.
next month, we have everything ready to go, hopefully.
Yes, so we should be programming doors next week, getting
Okay.
badges set up and defined and issued, and I'm gonna work with the department heads too to give some examples of badges, make sure we have proper information that's
Sure.
needed on them and
Okay.
what they look like, what's all needed for that, and
Okay,
we'll start issuing that then. So, and then we'll have a Kurt's Lock and Key come in afterwards, and they'll rekey the building for us then. So we'll get all new keys issued, and that's part of the sheriff's department too. They have that lockable key box now.
that's right, yeah.
So we'll have those in there. They're mainly for in the event if the system ever is damaged, broken or goes down,
Get in.
we can issue keys
We can get
temporarily.
in.
So we don't, we're trying to limit that, isolate that to the least amount possible, but we have to still contend with it. It is a possibility. So we want to have those keys available for that just in case. So, but.
Mhm.
All righty.
Okay, thank you, Travis.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Anyway, so we have 2026 budget. We're gonna skip that Friday and come back to later on.
Okay.
So next up is State's Attorney Office Deputy, Jamie. And before you start, okay? All we're after is, we're just trying to, we've some pushback from the public out there, okay? And we're just gonna make this civil.
I think you better, first of all, take both of those and take a look at them. I've got enough copies for everybody, including Sam.
We'll look at it.
First one's an AG's opinion regarding hours of the courthouse that you were asking about a couple meetings ago.
Correct.
And the second one is regarding to, in regards to the commission's authority to hire and fire an elected
Oh,
official's
that's not-
employee. Also, I think Amber should get up here too, because she was part of the decision-making process too, since my deputy works for both of us.
We got two.
So anyway, some of us already got before. All we're after is, we just have some things from the public people out there right now. So,
And I guess first of all, I invite the public to come talk to me.
yeah,
I
Oh.
I haven't received any other than what I've heard from commissioners.
yeah.
I haven't gotten anything from the public. If anybody from the public wants to come and visit with Amberly and I have no problem doing that.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I would invite that. So if anybody wants to call and make an appointment to meet with us, that's fine with me. So, I guess we had a report made to the two of us. We took it seriously. Our deputy was put on administrative leave. We investigated it, followed the steps. So, in doing some research with this, I've learned a few things about government employment. We gave her, we gave my assistant notice of the allegation and notice that that there will be some disciplinary action from a write-up or whatever to termination, and that we were gonna make the determination. At the end of the day, we made the determination of what the appropriate discipline was, and we enacted it. Whether, I guess that's a choice that Amber and I sat and discussed. I can say that I went as far as talking to the administrator of the hospital and asking what she was looking for. Amber was present during that phone call, and she stated nothing, that she wanted us to be aware of it, but she didn't want the punishment.
I don't think it's a position of another business to tell you how to punish your own employee or how to
Well,
care for your own employee.
I think I'm fine, and especially as a public service, if that person brought that forward, if I'm asking what they would like to see, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah, should at least get their opinion on it.
So that's what we did. I think there's a misconception that this was swept under the rug. This absolutely wasn't swept under the rug. It's something that's serious. So I don't know if that's the allegation, because that's not what happened. This is something serious. As soon as I found out about it, we took action. And we came up with a plan, and that's the way we're moving forward. And I guess that's really all I have to say about it, unless Amber has any more to say.
I have a few questions that did come to me from the citizens. This was discussed with me. And one of them was, upon hire, do you discuss confidentiality with your deputies?
Absolutely.
Okay,
That's actually an interview question.
okay, so your person was aware of this, of
Yeah,
confidentiality
that's
prior to.
That's an interview question.
Prior to do that, okay. And was this her first offense? Was the other one that actually I was told, this wasn't her first offense. She got in trouble 3 years ago due to confidentiality and was spoke to then. You know, so it was like, what was the limit was the question that was brought to me. The other question was,
I can say I don't recall a time 3 years ago. I can honestly tell you that I don't recall that.
the information 3 years ago happened, it was called in, and Bob Hook did speak to her about that situation. According to the person that
I
that
guess
called
at
in the
that time,
concern.
Bob Hook isn't our supervisor.
So,
The situation was when you. It was in regards to a DUS. And
Okay.
we discussed.
okay, so you advised another department last year that she had to fire her deputy immediately due to confidentiality. What makes this situation different, especially with it not being your deputy's first offense? So why were you able to, why
I
was
guess-
that person
I guess
supposed
that
to
person
go?
can come and I'm not going to discuss that at the meeting, but I think that person can come and speak with me about it. I have no problem talking with them about it.
That was the other question. And you advised the commissioners that we could not keep a sheriff due to losing trust with the citizens. What makes this situation different when we have citizens coming to us saying that they have lost trust in that department altogether due to your decision to keep this person that you know has breached confidentiality more than once?
That sheriff was charged criminally and he doctored an official email and came to the commission. That one's easy.
But yours is losing trust in the citizens was the comment. So that was what was,
Well, I guess
Brought to what?
that's something, that if the citizens don't trust me, that's something that they can make the determination at the election. I guess that's all I can say. The sheriff in that situation blatantly lied. He doctored an email and sent it off to the commission. I think there's a huge difference in that. There wasn't a lie told here.
okay, so Griggs County had a similar case recently where the last state's attorney's deputy was sued for sharing confidential information. What makes this different than the other confidential information that your current deputy has breached?
I'm not aware of that lawsuit, so I don't know. I don't know when that happened. I'm not aware of that one.
Wasn't that Jessica that was sued for breach of confidentiality?
What? That's not our case.
It was Assessment County, but the breach was here?
No, and it wasn't based on confidentiality. That was, again, that's a distinct difference.
She was arrested for hindering law enforcement for disclosure of confidential information provided to the government. Griggs County Sheriff says that her arrest is connected with the arrest of a different person, which also happened March 13th, where she used Griggs County's information and
Yeah,
her
she
access
shared
to
with
share.
someone- She shared with someone that had a criminal warrant out for him.
Okay, but it's still confidentiality. She breached confidentiality, correct?
I would say she broke the law.
So with the breach of confidentiality, which says here,
She broke the law and text messaged someone that had a warrant out for him, that you have a warrant out for him the day that a search warrant and was going to be executed on a person's place.
okay, so the question that gets brought to me is, what makes your current deputy's confidentiality better? Like, are we accepting this confidentiality? Is that
Well,
okay?
I guess what I'll say.
And is that one's not good?
I guess what I'll say in the case with the other office deputy, I think that was done with malice. There was a Snapchat sent out to other individuals. I think the topic was he's gone. The one where the person was criminally charged, I think that's self-explanatory. She hindered a law enforcement investigation by warning someone about a warrant. I don't think that there is anything that's appropriate.
How do
So-
we, how do we
so-
feel about domestic calls, sharing domestic calls into the office to friends?
That's, so there have been issues that have been discussed. That's part of the disciplinary action. So it's not appropriate. I'm not gonna lie. It was inappropriate. That's why they have been taken care of and that's why there's disciplinary action.
Because, and with this, I'm just sharing information that the citizens have absolutely lost trust. And it's been told to me that they've lost trust in your department. I'm not telling you what to do with your department.
Right, I understand that. And what I can say is that
The reason,
the reports that have been made to me that I'm aware of, they've been part of the disciplinary action. And so whether someone doesn't like what I've done as far as, or what we've done as far as disciplinary action, I guess I don't know how to appease them, but I can tell you that I know that last comment, what you're talking about, that was before disciplinary action, that was taken into account during the disciplinary action. I guess that's part of the reason, part of the disciplinary action. So what I can say is I'm aware of the reports. Amber and I took this seriously. I consulted with other state's attorneys how to handle this. And this is the road that we went down. Do I think it's a serious allegation? Absolutely, it's a serious allegation. And that's why immediately Annie was put on administrative leave and it was investigated until we made a determination of how to handle it. So like I said, if people are concerned that I'm not taking this seriously, that's absolutely not the case, because this is something that's very serious. I hope that we can restore trust with the community, because that's what my goal is, to do the best that we can do for the people that elected me. But I think that people think I didn't take this seriously, and 100% this is serious.
do you feel that we have put the county at risk now for being, to be sued because of the liability of the confidentiality that can be done, that has been done in the past?
Well, if it was done in the past, there's nothing I can do about it.
No, like in current, like you
I
were
don't-
aware that this is a
I don't believe so, because
situation, so if it happens again.
I don't believe so, because I believe that we've taken the suitable remedial efforts to change the behavior.
I personally been working in the medical field for 20 plus years. Confidentiality is of the utmost importance. I have had to let the best employees I know go due to the breach of confidentiality, because I just can't have that risk. I can't have somebody to share information that you cannot. And everybody is educated upon hire of the situation. So when they say, oh, give me another chance, I can't, because now you're at risk. Now I know you have done it. Now I know the possibility of you might be able to do it again. And the information, it wasn't just one information that was shared. It was several information that was shared and just now caught. I mean, it was upon your investigation, did you guys find more information of where things like this have happened? I mean,
I guess what I can say is, upon investigation, I think I know of a couple instances. And I believe those were I shouldn't say believe, those were the reports that were made to us.
that's all, this is all the information that was brought to me. So that I've shared what was brought to me.
So I do have a little, I really do hope that the trust is restored in the community. I guess I can understand. I won't sugarcoat things and say that I wasn't upset. I've been upset for the last month about this.
I was asked, why was she kept? Why was she kept when you knew that she breached confidentiality more.
Well, I guess, like I said, I think Annie's been a good employee, but, we made the disciplinary action and that's what we thought was acceptable. So, I have been told that, this has been discussed amongst the employees, including the auditor regarding this. And I think it's awfully hypocritical that I'm being jumped about this when the HR person is not supposed to be discussing this with other employees.
Well, this did not come from
No, I know
HR.
that.
Any of this information I
know that.
received.
I know, I understand that. I understand from you.
Excuse me.
But I have been told that this has been coming from other individuals in the office.
This
I have
does
not heard
come from
that.
me.
No.
I have not
No.
When
heard.
I was in those meetings,
I-
I was professional and I kept it all
I-
to myself. Nothing was said from my office or from my mouth.
I've been,
Nothing.
This discussion is about the situation. Let's not try to divert the,
No, I'm not
Divert it to
diverting
somebody else.
I'm not diverting it to anybody else.
so
But I don't understand why it's been discussed amongst the employees.
again, that's not the
Yeah, it is.
discussion here.
It's part of the topic at
It's-
hand here.
all, anyway, why, the stuff I've been, is from the general public. I haven't, nothing from the office per se. You follow me? That's my pushback from other people. Rod?
I just want to add, I don't have mine written down, but I've spoke to you about it and, I've had several phone calls as well. And the question or the answers you gave, I understand your answers and that you had every right to make that decision
Mhm.
and to do with what you did. The bottom line is that the people that are coming to Steph and I are not agreeing with your decision and, you're getting some blowback for it.
Yeah, and I guess that's a decision I made. I really wish I fully invite those individuals to come and talk to me about it.
What would,
mean-
if they came and spoke to you, what would that result in? Would you let her go if they came to you and said, I don't trust you? I mean, what is the purpose of them talking to you? What would the outcome be?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say that unless I talk to them. I really can't. I mean, I'm open to listening to what other people have to say.
And to interrupt you a little bit, just one thing to be perfectly clear is the Board of Commissions, you're in charge of your employees,
Right,
hiring and
Right,
firing,
right.
not the Board of Commissions.
right,
Correct.
So keep them know that up front.
right.
So, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, if someone has,
But in the same token, is that they came to us. And so now we're bringing it to you, just like it was last meeting where they came to us about Sam's
right.
situation. And that's what we're.
yeah, and I'm not being combative about it. I truly do. If they want to, I'm an elected official. If they want to come and talk to me about it, I invite them 100%. I guess other than I don't think it's appropriate that the commission addresses hiring and firing an employee, and it seems like I'm getting some pressure to do that. But because if you follow the Schwarzenberger case, that specifically states that. But with that said, I'll listen to what anybody has to say. I'm open-minded to hear what anybody has to say. If someone wants to come to me or call me up, 100% I'll listen. I'm not saying that's going to change my decision, but I'm not going to say you're an idiot because you're wrong.
Right.
I'm willing to listen to what people have to say.
And, and I guess my thing, I just want to, is that what she said, is just that we have the trust of the people, and obviously not all the people, so I mean, it's just been a handful. I suppose there's 6, 7, 8 of them. total.
But regardless, even if it is 6, 7, 8 or 1 and 2, I can understand. I mean, I want to be in a position where when someone is in their worst times or has a bad situation that they can call. So
The thing of it is when somebody makes a call in a panic situation of a domestic call or some situation, they want to know that they've got the trust that it's going to be professional and it's not going to be.
right, I understand that, and I really want to have an open dialogue with those people, and share with them my opinion and take their opinion. I don't think that there's anything wrong with coming to me, and like I said, I'm not going to be standoffish and say you're an idiot and wrong, because that's not right. But based on the information that we had, like I said, I think people think that we took this lightly, and it's not something we took lightly at all.
And I agree with that. The things that reason we have this discussion right now is that we want to the general public to see what you did. So everybody knows about that.
Right,
That's why
right.
we're doing this. That's
So, no, it's
Okay.
not something
And
I-
special treatment was another comment that I heard.
I sure
was-
didn't, I don't want people to say, Jamie just swept this under the rug, or Amberly just swept this under the rug, because I would say that over a 10-day period, I think that her and I probably discussed it 2 or 3 times a day to figure out what to do. So it's not something, like I said, it's not something that we took lightly at all by any means. So, yeah, if someone has, and I'm not, if someone wants to come up and say you're an idiot, I think you should have dismissed Annie. I'll take that and take my lumps, because that's not the first time I've heard that. So, yeah, I mean, I invite anybody to come and talk with me about things or their concerns with our office, 100%.
I'm going to suggest also for the future, when departments are working with their deputies and employees, what you do with one, you have to do with everybody. So if you guys get allegations, like before, you had an allegation, you had somebody who had confidentiality breach, that person was released immediately. Immediately. There was no 10 days, there was no discussion, there was not even a thought or ability to bring that person back. So, and then this case was different. We put on 10-day suspension. We did a completely different route with that. We have to be sure that we treat all employees the same. If you're going to do it with one, you have to do it with them all. That's just for future reference. Otherwise, you do get it can come back.
I guess I will share why I went through the process I went through. I did some research on employment law with the county employee, and like I said, I've learned a few things, so that's why I went the direction that we went. That's not because I wanted to have any different treatment about how things were handled, but I did some additional research and learned. So
Is there because I know for like my policy, we have discipline policies. Is there a discipline policy?
Not,
Or maybe there should be.
So
what I mean?
I guess what I can explain is that North Dakota is an at-will state, but a county or government employee, a government isn't necessarily at will. And so it complicates things a little bit further, and I actually learned that because another state, I guess there's a few of us state's attorneys that talk to each other about issues, and consulting with another state's attorney who's going through something similar, she had a memo that she had prepared for herself. So I was able to get some of that research. County government employees are a little bit different than a regular at-will private person. So I can tell you that we changed the approach because of that.
Even as an at-will employer, you still can be sued and
Oh,
and
absolutely.
people will be sued. It doesn't mean that you can just
Absolutely.
let somebody go. However, if you do have the appropriate, I've been doing this for a long time,
Right,
so
right.
employment, so if you do have the appropriate
I mean,
documentation,
anybody can be
it-
sued,
it-
but
you do have the ability to let somebody go due to proper documentation and taking the right steps. But, if I can
I
share.
think it would be smart to have a policy in place for discipline for everyone to follow.
Same standards.
well, and something else that I've learned after this is the county should have everybody sign a confidentiality agreement, regardless of what office that they're in. I will say that I didn't have one. I thought an unwritten rule would be fine, but a confidentiality agreement is something that everybody should, and that should be, of course, it's up to elected officials' offices, but that would be my advice to the county. And is that we have a confidentiality agreement that's signed by everybody, because I think that's appropriate. This is, even the practice of law is a practice of law, because you don't know everything. And so this is a new experience, and yeah, it's awfully humbling too.
Josh, Lauren, what are your thoughts?
Well, I hear a lot of what I'd say, not necessarily rumors, but people complaining that we don't know who they are. And I think if it's serious, I think that those people, it would be maybe appropriate that they address the county commission, not just run to staff or not, to an individual. I hadn't heard anything myself. I mean, so nobody's complained to me, but I don't really like Joe Blow said this or whatever, that type of thing. And I understand you get those things and you write them down, and I don't mean that at all. I think it would be more appropriate that if somebody has a legitimate complaint, that they complain,
Well, I think it's okay if people
come to the
complain.
meeting and.
If they
and tell
complain
us.
anonymously, I mean, people don't like being singled out. I understand that, and I'm not being combative to the people that are complaining, but I really invite them to come and talk with me because
Well, I'm just saying that's my opinion. I think that it's appropriate if they do not only talk, if they have a complaint that we should hear, I think it really.
but
that's why
you guys are elected. I mean, you
That's-
guys are elected to represent people, so.
That's what we're talking.
So, I mean, if there are people who have complaints to commissioners about what I've done, I have no problem with that. But I truly do invite them to come and talk to me. If they don't want to, that's fine. But, I guess what I'm trying to get at is I'm not unapproachable, and I'm not going to tell someone I disagree with you and get out of my office. If they want to bring up a point to me, I have no problem listening to that because that's the way it's supposed to be.
Well, you asked my opinion, and so I gave it.
No,
think it's-
and I
think
understand
that's-
that.
There's a point there, but then
Yeah.
also, yeah, these people, like if Steph's neighbor, I'm not saying it was your neighbor, but doesn't want to come out on, make themselves known, but they have an issue, that's what she's there for. is
Right,
to
we're the
listen.
sounding board. for
Yeah.
them.
And today.
He has to be the bad guy to bring it up because Sally doesn't necessarily want to come in here and
Right,
disturb her business or herself or her, whatever.
and then that's what we do is we are to represent our districts.
And today I'm sharing the information with you guys, not looking for a fight, not looking for an answer,
Right, no,
just to
Doing your
share it
job.
with you, just so everybody can hear that whoever's been sounding to me can say, okay, I addressed it with Jamie and with Amberly, and you guys know what, it's your decision, what you do, that's your department. But now we can say, now you know that I have been told that there are citizens out there that have lost trust in the department. There are people who don't trust the area and think, you know what, look, now you're a liability, that's,
Come in here and don't do that, shame on you.
Well,
and that's
and-
where it
Yeah.
is.
And I hope those people don't think that what they're saying is falling on deaf ears because it's not. I mean, I'm listening to what they have to say.
And now your deputy's under the radar. She is going to be under the radar. You're gonna have to
Oh, absolutely.
watch
And
everything
that's
she
fine.
does, it's everything that she's doing in the public is going to be watched. And every word she says, everything she does, just be aware of that. So
Regardless of whether it's because someone is currently in trouble, we are under the radar anyway. We need to be aware of that in the first place.
yep.
I don't think that, I mean, really, I guess my behavior won't change because someone thinks if I'm under the radar, because I don't think that's, I mean, I'm not gonna act any different than what I had.
Well, the whole confidentiality thing.
Right, no, I understand,
Watch. Yeah.
but I understand what you're saying, but regardless, I mean, whether we think we're under the radar or not, our actions should be the same.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Josh, last word?
I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
But listen, everybody, statements, everything else, the citizens have a concern, which they have a right to. They have a right to air their grievances, whether it's us, Jamie, or whoever else. Lo and behold, I feel that our departments, their heads do a good job and they make the decision they feel is necessary for the job. Now, if anybody's got a problem with it or whatever else, they are welcome to contact us or talk to the department's head or talk to the departments about those grievances. It's, like I said, this is first I've been hearing of it. But I have faith in our departments that they make the right decisions. So, but if anyone does have a problem with it, they are feel free to let us know. So that's my statement on it.
And if I hear information, onesie twosie things, I will go right to Sam and say, hey, this is what I heard. Can you work on this? Hey, it's just those little things. Not everything needs to be brought to a meeting. You'd hope to be able to make it yourself. This, I think, was pretty escalated. It grew. As the weeks went on, it grew, and more people, more gossip, more town stuff. I mean, it was going. So I thought we all believed that we need to bring this up. We need to share it so that the citizens can hear that we shared it. Now so there's that. So I'm done. I am done with this.
But the last thing I would say is I liked what you had said or maybe it was she said, is that we should put something in place, for all of us,
Yeah.
to where.
Yeah, I mean,
Policy.
there should be a confidentiality policy in our policy manual, and I don't believe there is after looking through it. But I think that everybody should sign a confidentiality agreement. I think that's a good idea. Like I said, I spoke with other state's attorneys, and it's kind of been an unwritten rule. There's been 2 or 3 different state's attorneys I spoke with about how to handle a situation, and they're like, well, I've got a draft of a confidentiality agreement, but I've never finished it. So it's not a problem until it is, and then it's a problem.
That's how policies are
So,
made.
yeah, and that's how policies are made. So you don't think about, you don't think about the things that aren't a problem until they're a problem. So, I guess everybody is kind of in the same position that I spoke with. Like I said, I've got a good network of state's attorneys I speak with quite often. I've become really good friends with, and some of my law school classmates I've continued my friendship with and talk with them about problems that we have, or we seek advice, just like everybody else looks for advice. So, I mean, I want people to know it's not something I took lightly, and I thought that, or think that we handle it in the correct fashion. And I hope that are no occurrences in the future. That's, I guess, what I can tell the people. I don't think that there will be, and I hope that at some point we can restore confidence in those people that aren't confident in our office, because I'm there for the taxpayers and the voters of the county.
Okay, we'll wrap this section up here. 2 things I get out of this is, number 1 is, we'll probably an agenda or whatever, look at a confidential agreement for everybody, maybe work on that, maybe and also a policy in place, how to handle this next time. A discipline type policy for
Yeah,
everybody.
that's fine with me.
I do.
What do you think, guys?
I had a
I
policy.
agree with that. I mean,
Okay.
if we're gonna, obviously we have issues here that we have to address, they're coming to us one at a time.
Yeah.
And every issue we have, we should try and find a policy and make a policy.
And I think that way, if there's a policy in place,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to come to us commissioners. The department heads can just
handle
handle
Well,
it. They know.
and at that point, there's a little bit of teeth. So the way Schwarzenberger reads is that you can't tell someone what they can and do as far as their employee can and can't do. But if they're not following a policy, I think it's a little bit different. I don't know necessarily if you can go and say you have to get rid of that employee, but you can definitely remind that employee that, hey, we have a policy and you didn't follow it. So, I mean, like Amber said, that you don't have a problem until there's a problem.
Yeah,
And then it'll give Sam as HR more direction.
Direction,
I
yeah.
mean, she can refer.
Right.
It kind of puts her in a
yeah.
bad spot too.
I will share with Sam our Annetta Parkview's disciplinary action policy. We have that. And we also have a confidentiality policy that, we've had since 1912, because we had to have them. So I will share both of them with Sam so that she can review, and she can share with you to review if that's one that
I think that'd be a good idea.
that'd be
Yeah.
interested in.
So I guess to end this, like I
Yeah.
said, it's not something that we took lightly. It's not something I take lightly. And it won't be something I take lightly. But I want people to know that there was action taken. Whether or not it's the right action, whether or not they believe it's the right action, I think they need to know that action was taken, because I think that there's probably some misconception out there that nothing was done too.
That's why we're doing this. So,
Okay.
okay,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you. No, don't go. Next thing on the agenda is FICA disaster relief, the FEMA thing. You want to,
Am I released?
you released, yes, you could go there.
So there's some,
But, yeah, Josh, want to explain what happened? You talked to me about this, the FEMA thing?
Okay, so
This is what happened. You'll explain it here.
yeah, I've spoken with Josh.
Okay, you did, you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
so
Okay.
Josh, I can talk about it if you're good with that.
yeah, go ahead.
So Josh had contacted about
Yeah,
about FEMA relief. So after the windstorm on the 20th, this stuff all kind of happens in a whirlwind. It happened on Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, we were given notification to come up with a damage assessment.
yep.
There's some confusion of whether it should be public and private, or just private, or just public grounds. So emergency management, Annie was tasked with contacting townships, cities, government subs, try to put a cost associated with a damage assessment so we can send it off to the feds. I think there's some confusion from maybe some loss of translation. In fact, I talked with Joe Lees myself the day before yesterday, whether there should be some private, or whether people can submit their private costs or their public costs. At the time, Joe told Annie, just put it to everything together and the state can sort it out and be the bad guy if they can't take that. So that's what we advise people to do. We have a township down by Hannaford that's upset because they called the state and the state said, no, absolutely no private. So there was probably a little bit of loss of translation between us and the regional people. Most of the people put public and private together, which the state can sort that out, I guess. There's one township that was upset and didn't submit anything because they had private in there.
But usually, isn't usually the case, usually it's usually for government. And
It's for government.
most of the time,
government.
correct, correct, that's my,
So we're trying to meet the threshold of dollar value. So they told us to submit everything.
Okay.
And there was a township that called to Bismarck, and said no. Annie had been in contact. I guess I'm not gonna blame Annie at all for that. And it's like, just, it is what it is, but it's not. But, there have been several contacts with the state that said, just get everything together, all the damage that people put together.
yeah.
And then we got the message, in fact, I haven't even gotten that email yet, but that it's just private, that it's just public and no private damages are gonna be accounted for. So I'm not sure. We kind of got two different messages from them at the same time.
But they also did say that if there are trees on the boulevard and the city picks them up, there is a chance that the city, even though it's on personal property on the boulevard, that it'll be covered underneath the city. That's the same thing when I spoke with Joe Lees in regards to a township road where agricultural machinery could no longer get down due to the trees that were because the header couldn't get down the road, because the trees were on private property, but
Blocking public road though.
they were not blocking the public
They
road.
weren't.
The header itself couldn't get down. You could still access the road,
Oh.
but the machinery itself could no longer get down that road due to where the trees fell.
Uh-huh.
And Joe again said, I would still list it as, because you want to give the state the greatest amount of needs that there are. Our threshold for Graves County was right around $10,800. That was met by the first one that I received, and that was from the city of Cooperstown. And then the city of Hannaford sent me theirs, and they were well over 40,000 as well. And so I submitted everything. I submitted multiple different pictures, damage assessment claims. Some of the pictures do show clearly that the trees fell on private property.
So I don't know how you can really differentiate because you're gonna go down the street and clean. And that's what we did. I mean, when Sutton, Aaron Ramsey and I took our skid steers and chainsaws and just went down the street and cleaned. There was stuff on the road, there was stuff in people's yards and it didn't make any difference. We just went and cleaned and spent 2 days cleaning up people's places. So
Yeah.
I don't know how you can differentiate. I suppose the photos do it, but that's up to the state to make that determination too. They know what the guidelines are better and they're the ones that ultimately administer that money. So I don't think it's wrong to have private stuff because who knows? We could get paid on it. I don't know. And we might not get paid. It might not meet the threshold, so we might not get paid on anything.
You know, they're working with FEMA. I've worked with FEMA a lot and it's hard. There's every scenario. As what I have seen is that they'll never allow you to go on private property, even if it's FEMA paid. They are responsible to hire a private contractor to get it to the curb, like you said, to the court street. Once it gets to the street, you can pick it up and take it from there. And then you'll get reimbursed for that, but you
Right.
cannot go on private property, you cannot take off of houses. Then if the houses get damaged or the garage is crushed, again, a private
That's property
contractor
damage,
has
yeah.
to take it down. That's called C&D. That is picked up off the burn again. Stumps, cities, sidewalks, again, that's the third time around. That's separate again. You know, maybe to put it all together to get the number value up there. Yeah, but
Well,
but as to how they pay out,
Right.
it's all separate.
But I mean, the city of Cooperstown on Saturday morning when they're cleaning up, they weren't differentiating between what was going on. They just went and pick streets.
Yeah.
The streets.
And that's exactly what happens, you know, by the time FEMA gets there, you know, like Hannaford, I mean, that 2 days or 3 days later, I mean, Hannaford was looking fantastic from what it
Right.
looked like.
Yeah.
And now there's damage that needs to be fixed, don't get me wrong, but from what it looked like the day of the storm to now, or 3-4 days later, you know, Paul or Travis's brother and Mike Essling, I mean, those guys went to work.
So I think ultimately the best answer is to put everything together and they can sort it out and decide what they're gonna pay. Just like Wayne with the roads, sometimes they pay FEMA sites and sometimes they don't, and they don't really have a rhyme or reason for the way they paid it, do they, Wayne?
And there's many times also with federal grants that it gets opened up for, like, if they say, okay, it's gonna be $6 million that we're going to use on this grant. We've only spent 4 million so far. They're gonna open it up for the second half of saying, okay, well, we did roads, now we're gonna look at replacing culverts or vice versa, obviously.
Yeah.
So there's always a second chance that it can be opened up again for additional funds to be paid out. The same thing happened with all the snow removal that we had with the state, is that we had 2 rounds of it, is they paid it out twice.
I've seen them go as high as 3 times on
Yeah.
trees.
So I guess ultimately, it's my opinion, submit it. We submitted everything for Sutton. I mean, I don't know what they're gonna pay and what they're not. I don't know what is appropriate and what isn't. Like we said, I don't remember what trees were on the
it's gonna
street
get
and what.
spread, you know, the money, like she said, the money we have is, you know, it goes to the worst first, you know, your daisies, your pages.
Right.
They're
Right.
gonna get it before Cooperstown does.
Well, and it was also a great thing that the city of Cooperstown and the city of Hannaford both declared an emergency, so that they would have emergency funds, that they could use those emergency funds for the cleanup itself. And, you know, that's what Debbie Dahl said was the reason why we did that is because of the amount of bills that they had right away. You know, she said it was in excess of $40,000.
So I guess it's tough to get everything together. So the storm happened on the 20th or 19th, whatever it was. And we had to have everything in the FEMA by the 3rd.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
So I mean, it doesn't give people a whole lot of time to put stuff together or even to figure out what the heck is going on. I mean, their webinar was on the 30th.
Here's a copy of part of the letter. It says, I've also included a copy of the county damage thresholds, which Annie said need to be reached before a county can be included in a disaster. Any damage or disaster cost that occurs within a county's boundaries, including damages to cities, RECs, will count towards your county getting over its threshold.
So, I mean, if it happens within the county boundaries, So it doesn't necessarily exclude private. I mean, it is part of the threshold. It's a damage assessment. It doesn't exclude the
I
private
would say
land.
Annie did a great job. She had a lot of stuff to enter in. Just a little bit.
So I guess one of the things that we had a problem with, we had an old township list. We couldn't get a new township list. Sam was out of the office. So I think that there's some townships that may not have gotten contacted. Not that there wasn't an attempt to make the contact to the townships, but we had old officers on the
Names.
list.
Yeah.
Well, I had people asking me about it and everything, and basically the day it happened, I was out taking pictures, neighbors were taking pictures. You know, I don't know, we're in Greenfield, but I don't know if we're gonna get included, but any pictures of property, because we had trees laying on the road, blocking the road, we had to do something regardless. So eventually, that following Friday, Saturday, Mike came down there, cleaned everything up, put it all in a pile. And I took all pictures, videos of everything being taken down, everything else, and I still submitted it regardless, just because, like, I said, submit it with Debbie's stuff. She said, I'm gonna include, Wallem in it, the township, because it's assessment. Like she said, it was assessment, turn in what you can. I turned in my hours, everything else that I have into it. She said, we might not get anything at all, regardless, but we might get something. I don't know. But the more pictures and the more videos or you know, receipts that they had, hours, they said it was definitely a help, because it could definitely help boost them over a line for something else.
Well, and I guess the moral of the story is Josh was right. It's a damage assessment. We don't know if FEMA's going to open up North Dakota damages or not and get any money. And this is part of the first step to take to be able to see if we're going to get any money in the first place.
And when you are, people that did fill out, whether it was the clerk or the roads or the supervisor for the township, they are able to claim their time. And it's somewhere between $25 and $35 an hour that FEMA would possibly reimburse, for putting all the information together. So even if the township or the city doesn't get it, there is a chance that the people that actually put together, like Debbie Dahl, Ramsey, who put together the pictures and did the report or the initial report, that they could actually get their time reimbursed.
No. Anything else, guys?
Do we need to do anything about it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Oh.
well,
Looks
good
good.
to have the report, but
No, that's
Mhm.
right. Next item is House Bill 2180. Jamie?
House Bill 2180 was enacted in the legislature. It's regarding public comment at any commission meeting. Out west, there was a commission, I think it was out west somewhere. There was a commission that wouldn't allow someone to get on the agenda, so I found a legislator to force public comments. We've actually, when I was state's attorney up in Nelson County did public comment for the first few minutes of the meeting. And it worked pretty well. It was pretty well behaved and orderly. I don't think anybody ever went off topic. 2180 requires actually that the county adopt a policy for public comments. And this is a hybrid of a policy that I received. Stephanie Dassninger from the League of Cities and Sean, his name escapes me, the water board, the State Water Board Association attorneys, drafted a couple proposed policies for everybody to adopt, or we could adopt whatever we wanted to do. I thought Stephanie's from the League of Cities is pretty good, so it's pretty much her policy. It gives everybody a chance to talk, but they have to follow a few things. They have to fill out a card, get to the auditor prior to the meeting. They can only talk about either a current agenda item or a past agenda item. Now that doesn't, it sounds like it prohibits from people from talking, but if you wanted something on the agenda, say citizens wanted my office on the agenda again, they still can approach a commissioner and say, hey, we need to talk about this. That doesn't prohibit people from being able to come in and talk about a specific agenda item. but it prohibits, or I shouldn't say I guess what it does is contains the conversation to be on topic instead of going out in the weeds. It also limits the entire public comment session to 30 minutes, so it doesn't take the entire meeting or monopolize a meeting. And it limits everybody to a 3-minute comment.
And that, I think that's what the Fargo City Commission does, doesn't it?
I think
It's like
so. A lot of
2-minute
the
deal.
2, 3, 5
One
minutes.
person can't, say, well, I'm gonna give my time to so-and-so for them to have 10
Yeah, you
minutes.
can't yield the floor to
can't
anybody.
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
You have to sign up and so I don't know, take a look at it.
Okay.
Needs to be in place for
August 1st?
August 1st.
Okay.
If you want to make any changes or you have any suggestions for changes, let me know and we can do that. I guess my recommendation is to pass it as is. And if we need to make changes in the future, it can be the policy can change. That's no problem, but we need to have something in place. And I think this is a pretty good policy.
Okay.
What I did hear out at Auditors Convention is some are doing it, opening up for public comment in the beginning of the meeting,
Yep.
or they're opening it up at the end. I did hear that that the majority like it in the beginning, so
Correct.
that then those people can kind of give you their thoughts on different things.
They can
And then you're
go.
not hashing out,
Yeah.
your whole agenda. Then public comment, and then they're talking about something that was on the agenda. Now you have to revisit that. You have those public comments
I
to
agree with that.
be thinking about during the meetings.
Yeah.
I like that idea too.
Yeah, my suggestion is to do it
The
in the
beginning.
first part of the meeting because
I agree.
you don't have to make those people sit through the meeting.
Yep.
But you can get through the issues right away.
Yeah.
I guess the city of Lakota adopted theirs last night. I'm the city attorney for Lakota. They adopted theirs last night and that's the position that they take. Nelson County, on my advice, has done that. That's the public comment was the first few minutes of every meeting. If there is comments, that would allow it and give them 5 minutes.
And, this commission has always been pretty open. Just be,
Well, and
about people coming in.
Right,
talking.
but,
We've been good about that.
like we talked about before, you don't have a problem until there's a problem.
There's a
and someone
problem, I
out
know,
west had
I
a
know.
problem, and that's why
That it did that.
the legislator legislated, and I think it's not of the best foresight of the legislator to legislate for a single problem, and that's the case that they did. They legislated for everybody for a single problem. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is that we have to do it, but I think a public meeting is a public meeting. It's not a public forum, but I think the taxpayers deserve the right to be heard too.
Yeah. Do you guys want to table this or do you want to vote on it now?
I can vote on it.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to add a
Okay.
public,
Adopt the Griggs County Public Comment Policy.
adopt the Griggs County public policy.
Okay, motion by Edlin,
No, second that.
second by Zorn. Any discussion? Any
Are we
discussion?
gonna just
Okay.
do a time deal, or are we just gonna base it off of? Are we gonna do it for like the first 5 minutes and then base it up to 30 minutes? Or are we just gonna do the 30 minutes or whatever?
Well, I think you don't want to sit in the meeting for 30 minutes
No.
and not have anything going on. So,
Yes.
I mean, if there's enough people that take the 30 minutes up, you just have to, everything gets moved back in the meeting at 30 minutes. I don't
I just
think,
didn't know if we were setting a natural time limit on it or not.
I mean, yeah, I think you have to stick to the 30 minutes once you adopt the policy. But I don't think you put it in a 30-minute slot in a meeting because how many times are there actually people that come in and sit there? So you'll all be staring at each other for half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. One last time, any discussion? Okay. Yeah. You got a second by Avery, all right, yep.
No.
No, there's Zorn, sorry, Zorn. On that one, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
When would you put it on here? Where would you put it? Would you put it before the agenda?
I think you
After the-
probably-
You have to put it, to the pledge
Yeah.
and then open it?
Well, I think you get through the procedural issues first. So
So it'd be right after bills, correct?
attendance and agenda, the minutes
And
and
then
bills aren't really procedural. I would say probably after
the minutes,
the minutes.
After the minutes and before bills?
bills, that'd work.
Okay, good.
Okay. Okay, that's resolved. Summer hours, Jamie.
I guess I can talk about
Okay,
that.
or whatever.
At the last meeting, we did have the discussion about, the public, or our summer hours. We did get a Attorney General's opinion,
that Jamie supplied us, that you guys are in charge of the office hours as well. We're sorry, we were taking the what we had heard prior and we weren't trying to be combative or anything like that. That's not what we were trying to do. So it is up to you guys to do those summer or those hours of the offices as well. We are wondering if you would allow us to continue those during the summer for the 2 offices, or if we want to just say no and have them open. So I guess that's totally up to you guys.
I guess I would say no, we'd already voted on it once,
Yep.
you know, we've already brought it to the table and voted on it.
Yeah.
I don't have a strong opinion either way. It did.
Like Rod said, we've already discussed this and made an opinion on it, so as the commissions.
Yeah, we'll leave it at this. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Let's go old courthouse, new courthouse. You guys did your maintenance person thing. Want to take the floor, guys?
Yes, Rod and I and Sam interviewed 2 good candidates yesterday. They had a really good discussion, both of them. There was one that it did stand out more than the other because of his experience. I think the experience stood out more than anything. He's got more experience on using, mowing, using equipment, managing buildings. He had experience
He's
on.
got a chemical license, for like the spray, we talked about spraying the weeds at the courthouse, and he's got his license to do that. He knows about maintenance of carpet cleaning to fire extinguishers, keeping it, he's very, very, very well knowledged and snow removal working with the city, get the snow moved, making a pile if we need to and having the pile moved away. Just a very all around good.
Yep, he currently has experience in contracting, managing the fire system, managing generators. So his experience in that is already there. So both were good applicants. The one just had more experience than the other. So we can't say anything poor about either of them. We did discuss our thoughts on salary. The proposed on that was the higher of the salaries due to his experience and the fact that he is a one-man show to be managing the whole entire building with.
And we spoke to him
housekeeping.
too, knowing, when going into this, that this was going to be a learning curve. That this is a new position, that this could change and we could add things and to what his requirements are. And he was totally fine with that.
What was the money?
The $21 an hour was where,
I just thought of a new maintenance man up at the school, just was hired,
In Binford?
up at.
Oh, Cooper. Okay.
For $17 an hour. So,
But this, yeah, I see your
And
point.
was it?
This is a little more.
well,
With the,
I'm just.
Yeah, that's
No,
what
and
you're paying devil's advocate.
we looked at that.
No,
We looked at that and I agree with you and, this at the school, they don't do no lawn care.
Nope.
They do no snow removal.
no, but they do a lot of hallways and they do the gym and they got a lot
No,
more.
if they don't do the gym,
Yeah.
it's outsourced.
It's outsourced.
We know that
Well, they
much.
do.
Oh,
in
really? I
Bedford.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
And they only got one person up there.
And
Nothing.
he is able to do light carpentry skills, painting, snow removal. It still saves, we're still under the budget by $7,000 is what we figured, going with the 21. So we're still under the budget.
Well, I'm just
And-
giving you my
That's fine, Lauren.
opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
that-
Absolutely.
And I don't know what anybody would do here for 37 or 40 hours a week.
Well, there's more.
in your packets, Lauren did put together a potential maintenance cost sheet that he would like you guys to look at as well, and that is in your
Yeah, just-
packets.
I'm just wondering. Personally, I'm wondering what they would, I know that, you'd come in and you do a few rooms to get started, but once you've got. I have I have a little concerns about what they would actually be doing for
Right.
that many hours a week. If you can mow the lawn once a week and
I
that
feel we're,
takes about 5 hours.
I believe
I-
we're too far ahead of the game to go back to revamp it, because we did actually advertise for contract work, contract housekeeping, contract maintenance. Nobody wanted it. The only people who wanted it was full-time employees, was looking for a full-time position. So I don't know if going out there and redoing it again, are we going to get anybody? We gave it the first time around, you know, so I feel we need to move forward. We need to move forward with this and find the position, because there's things that are being missed,
Room are you gonna put them in?
you know?
No, I'm just asking,
No, I know.
where do you put them?
They don't have an office per se, but
Put 'em in the
they
closet.
do have their maintenance areas where they keep their supplies and such, so. Yeah,
No, I'm,
You know, and this is yeah, you got some good points, Lauren. I don't know, you know, like we said, we were gonna,
But
there's gonna be some learning curves on this deal, and can we keep someone busy 37 hours a week? I don't know, you know,
well,
there's,
I see.
and
yeah. Yeah, I know.
I'm just voicing mine and.
right.
Because if you got a plumbing problem, he still gotta call a plumber. And if you got electrical problem, you gotta call an electrician. That's by code. So
Right.
that person can do some painting and do some floor cleaning and
Mhm.
if we buy a decent shampooer, you know, or a rug cleaner,
Mhm.
that's expensive for the first year.
Yeah.
Once we have it. But I mean, I have my concerns, you know, and I do like the idea of hiring. If we have a custodian, he's probably gotta be here during working hours.
That's the big point. Yeah.
Are we gonna get the snow removed before that or?
that
what?
was things we talked about, that we'd want the snow moved
Yeah.
like at, you know, 5 AM in the morning and get it moved out and.
Yeah, but can you,
With the flexible hours, have to work with that.
Yeah.
For whoever's hired, you need to have a job description because it's not a problem until it's a problem. We just learned that today.
Yeah,
And you guys have worked on some of the stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We do have a job description as to tasks to be completed all the way through. We did that one a few meetings ago.
But it was well told to the applicants that it, you know, could be changing, that this, you know, we're new into this or whatever, so that it could be changing. So they were both well aware of that it's kind of molding.
It's a molding, yeah, it's an ever-changing position. We're so new with this, and they're willing to work with the fact that there will be changes going with it as we go through. And it could be from them saying, hey, this is this and this is that, and, you know, it's a good time moving snow at 5:30 in the morning, or, you know, however that works, but.
you know, when my daughter went to work for the college out at Newtown, she was hired originally as a contract employee. You know, so much a month. And my preference would be if we could hire somebody as a contract, so much a month as a contract employee rather than a
Full-time.
county employee.
We didn't have any interest in the contract when we did advertise it.
Yeah.
If we didn't get anybody, we could advertise it again.
But we did get interest for employees for it, you know, and it's still not over the budget that is on there, but.
I'm not saying I might get outvoted.
Right,
4-1.
Right.
I'm not saying, there are some concerns of mine about,
Well, the other issue too.
but we already did vote to advertise for both, and we did.
yeah, I understand.
And in the discussion, we made motions and voted to advertise for both, and we did, and the only applications that we did receive that were for the full-time portion of it, because we did agree to advertise it either as a contract or as an employee. So that's what we received.
What do you hire? Yours at Wayne? 20? So I'm just, yeah,
Price, they've gone up.
no, it's the last one though. What was the last one hired for? Money?
I
Anyway,
mean, that's,
I'm just
no,
wondering if we start paying, if we should be consistent on that or not. That's,
I guess my opinion on this is, we need to get somebody in place here fairly soon. That's my opinion.
Mhm.
at any cost.
Not at any cost, but you followed them. I'm just,
No, I don't.
that's,
And if this doesn't work out, there can be changes made. You know, it's, if you could be doing this as a full-time employee, then it want to change the contract, can change the contract at that time. I mean, this is a molding position.
Well, and the other thing is that we were lucky to get the position down at the county filled. I mean,
yeah, we had to work at that one.
I think we were very fortunate in
Yeah.
that situation. I personally didn't think that was gonna happen and these wages that we're paying, you know, when you get a guy down at the county that's holds a CDL, you get a guy that can have an applicant license and knows how to take care of a generator, knows how to run a skid steer, you're gonna pay for them.
It's a skill set.
It's a skill set. I mean, it's, you know, the difference between a janitor at the, you'll take care of a hallway at the school versus somebody that knows how to run a generator in the skid steer moving snow. I mean, because if we contract out the snow, let's say, let's say we pay somebody $19 an hour and all he does is takes care of the building. And then we contract out the snow. Well, is that gonna make $3 an hour?
Well, if you're hiring just about if you're hiring a full-time maintenance man, you aren't gonna hire or pay out for the snow or the,
Correct.
I mean, so you can't use that as a.
well,
as
you
a-
use that as a levy because the guy has experience in everything. That's why he's saying that.
Mm.
Where versus you hire a regular guy that doesn't have experience in snow removal and you have to turn around and hire it out. That's the point he's making.
'Cause well, the point I was making is that if we hire somebody like you used at the school, they're, they don't mow and they don't move snow. I know what it costs to move snow,
Yeah.
so if we bid the snow removal out and,
Well, it's
you know.
$150 a time.
And there's like last 2 years, we haven't moved hardly any snow, but then there's years that it's
Well,
snowed.
I know that,
You know,
and it's
Snow every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 years ago, we were removing snow.
It was
every-
awful.
Every day.
yeah.
Tell me about it.
So I mean, then that gets really costly quick. So. On the hourly, I'm willing to say, maybe we were wrong on what we wanted to pay the guy. But I will say that I think that we need to, with Steph and Scott, that we need to move forward with this position. There again, people have said all kinds of stuff about the yard looking terrible and the dandelions all over it and, What's that?
I apologize for stepping.
Oh, no problem.
We're proposing the higher end, the $21 an hour, due to his experience. Being able to run the equipment, having his chemical license, already has the experience in building maintenance, and in contracts and on that higher end. So
The question that I always ask myself when I look at hiring somebody is with your skill set, would you go to work for that money? Because that's how I
As a
look,
civil engineer, I guess I wouldn't.
and experience,
But,
yep.
That's
I know.
probably you wouldn't either as the owner of a truck.
That's
But
like in my
that's
position,
not-
that just about apprentice wages, experienced apprentice.
Okay.
So, yeah, to me, that's fair. I mean, it sucks to the other departments. That's,
When you look at the benefits, what did you figure up for a yearly wage at 21? Around 70-some thousand?
With the benefits and everything, it's 66,000.
which is still cheaper than what we were paying before.
Correct. It's 7,025 less than what we were paying.
It might have been overpaying then.
Right.
Never,
They were getting
never mind,
more.
that's,
They were getting
that's
more because
long
they had more
past.
years of experience, years with the
That's long past and we don't need
Yeah.
to read.
years of experience and years with the county. So that's why they're getting.
Would he take less
We haven't,
discussed it.
We haven't
No.
discussed
Oh.
that.
and we told
I'm
him that the wage that we would offer would come through the meeting and up to you guys, all of us, you know.
That's fair enough.
We didn't even, we gave him a range,
Yeah, that's fair enough.
you know,
I mean,
so,
Answer.
you know. But upon Rod and I discussion, we're like, we like the $21 range because we want to be able to get him here. He does have all this experience. It's nice that nobody has to hold their hands to move snow, teach him how to do these things because he already knows, you know, it's,
If I had a option, I don't know that we should go higher than maybe what the maintenance people down at the highway department are to start with. We do have options later of increasing it, but, or maybe you could put them on a trial basis and started it less with the option if he,
I like that
So
on a
many-
trial basis. I think that's.
so many months, and then you could go to a different age.
First of all, I gotta make sure he accepts the offer if we do.
what we need to offer him something
Yeah, exactly.
before we can accept it. So, I mean, it's,
So,
and we need to figure out if we do the lesser offer, you know, do we bring back to the next meeting, have a special meeting to discuss bringing, you know, something else, negotiations or anything like that? I mean, those things need to be figured.
so anyway, so your recommendation is, your recommendation is to hire this person, correct?
Yes.
You guys, when you guys
Yeah.
interview, you would,
Yeah.
all three of you, okay? So I guess to kind of wrap this up, should we just, we need a motion to approve this, correct?
Well, approve a wage. We could.
Offer the position.
Offer the position, yeah.
We could still offer him at the 20 and then starting out. And if things get better and he proves himself and everything else, maybe we can look into a bump up, especially. We got a whole, you know, we're looking at next year's budget, there's raises coming out with that on top of that. So, I mean, that'll factor in also. But that's my opinion.
Yeah. I'm good with that, you know, if we, you know, have like a trial period, like a 6-month trial period and see what how.
Okay, my question on that is, working on the budget, our current budget from year to date is, we're able to fit it in the budget, but we're gonna be working on the budget for next year today. How would you figure the salary in there? I mean,
Well, we could discuss, so we could offer him this, you know, a 20. And that's within our budget for this year.
okay,
And then we can discuss, okay, what are we gonna give him from there, you know, 21, whatever else. And then we could figure in that for next year's budget
okay,
and we go from there. So, cause we could factor in the budget with the raise.
with the higher raise,
Yeah.
okay,
We're-
You know, cause
we're
we
talking-
do have some costs that we're probably gonna have to look in cutting here. But at the same time, $1 an hour difference in a budget is very significant compared to, you know, what we're cutting out like 7,000 right now. That's gonna be huge different when we do our.
We're talking 20, between 20 to 21, if we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Right,
the dollar difference is, you're going to break it down, you're saving $1,950 with that $1.
So, but I think we should start them at that 20 to make it fair as a trial and make it fair with the other employees.
yeah,
And go from there. And if he
Yep.
wants more, or if he feels he deserves more, proves that he deserves more, then we can negotiate that $1 more. He's also, like I said, you know, that's not including this next round of raises coming out with this next year's budget. So he might even receive more on top of that.
Okay, do we have a,
You're still gonna have to buy a carpet cleaner and that's gotta be figured in
Yeah.
with this maintenance cost. So
Yeah,
You
but
gotta add that.
She
right in.
has money figured in. When the budget is made, there is, what'd you say, 5 or 5,500
We-
for additional maintenance costs or something like
well,
that?
we haven't used a few months of the budget, so it gives us some grace in
That's true.
this department that we could buy equipment with, because
and I think we have a maintenance guy, we should have a carpet cleaner.
I agree. Even if they clean once or twice a year, it's
3,000 saved at a time.
mhm.
We'll pay yourself up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's, So go ahead, a motion on this.
I'll make a motion for 20,
Okay.
as I guess, a pending number on experience and a trial. That's.
6 months trial?
6-month trial, yep.
I'll second that.
Second by Zorn. Any discussion?
I gave mine.
I know. Any discussion? I gotta say this 3 times. I always freak doing this. And
20, you said 20?
Yep.
20, yeah. And last time, any discussion? We don't have to, we have to have a voice vote or individual on this one?
Individual.
Individual. Okay, so Zorn,
Aye.
Edlin,
Aye.
Avriel.
No,
No, okay, Lawrence, no, and I vote aye.
well,
That's fine. Okay, motion carried.
That's why we have discussions about it.
Yep,
Yep.
okay.
Do you want to contact him
Okay,
and offer him a position?
courthouse, no courthouse, I have nothing to add to it. Do you guys have anything to add to it?
Unless, if we can get, the maintenance guy, I guess we're looking at taking that fence up and getting it mowed.
Okay,
It would be lovely. Actually, see if even we could get it done. If the,
Before the weekend would be really nice.
exactly. I'm just
Because it's
thinking,
Cooper Days and people are
Cooper's-
coming to
So,
town
Okay,
and.
who's going right now?
Ron's it.
Talk to them, see, maybe they might have to add additional costs into it, which we understand. But talk to them about getting that cleaned up, getting in there, maybe open up a section, getting in there mowing.
well, I think we can just take it down for now.
We just take it down, okay.
Yeah.
And we'll let's mow it and weed eat it and.
Because they are going in there and mowing it, it still,
Yeah.
it just looks
Okay.
really tacky.
I just worry, especially if we're gonna have street dance, wandering over there, bricks falling.
The bricks, what did we find out with the bricks falling?
Well, we went and looked and there's nothing there now. In the springtime, I think what it was is snow coming down. And it was bringing, and it's not like full bricks are falling, it's pieces, you know.
When I
what?
talked to our last maintenance guy, he said there are loose bricks up there.
Okay, see, I haven't been
And-
up there.
Because that's so old, the motor's wearing out, stuff like that, the bricks are coming loose, they're falling, but like you said, maybe it is with the snow, you get the weight and everything, kind of work.
It doesn't melt and it comes off,
Yeah.
it's bringing it down.
Cause you get cracks in that motor, water and everything works in there, reads this, breaks them loose, pops them out.
I was in there and looked and I didn't see anything
Okay.
that was new.
Then yeah, let's take it down and, is there any way we could just, I don't know if we can get a sign up at least, be aware of, so that way if anything does happen,
Right,
it's, cause it's still technically a liability.
right.
That way we can at least have some kind of warning or something like that, get somebody wandering around there, something does fall. They get hurt, we gotta get sued over it.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Last thing, 2026 budget. Okay, who wants to start in this one? Steph
I'm gonna let beautiful Sam, who went off
Can you
and
put anything on the screen for us to see?
has all the updates on it for us.
Yes, if you'd like.
That'd be, yeah. Please.
Hey, can I hate to, can we make a 5-minute? recess?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
yes, that would be
A motion
great.
to by Zorn or Ariel to make a
I'll
5
second
minute, second by Ariel, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say same sign, motion carried. Okay,
Great.
great. All right.
How's your feeling?
I apologize for stepping out. I had my insurance adjuster call me.
Yeah,
And the
I do.
customer's calling.
Ooh, my feet are wretched.
Okay, Ryan, I tell you where. I'm in the bathroom.
sorry about that.
Oh, don't be. You know what, I have high respect for you.
I knew I'd get out.
You're good. You're good. That's what it's about.
I thought I missed it. We had somebody in the office, so I thought I missed the other stuff.
I knew that from the beginning. I had to have my say. Yeah, whatever. I didn't want to pay him $30 an hour and sit on the ass.
So am I able to
Sorry.
change something on my budget?
Are you able to change?
Yeah, can I, because we don't have to send out like
Oh,
the actual statement, so I can drop my supplies down.
when we get to you, just
Yeah,
say that.
okay.
Cause yeah, then,
Because I think I'm at 1,000, I'm like, I don't know. I don't need 1,000 anymore, because we're not, I mean, we're still sending out letters, but
maybe you should keep it at that.
But I
just to
feel like-
see- Because I mean, everybody's still gonna get that one letter, even though it's
we're not
not
gonna have to
necessarily-
pay for like the thick, big packets anymore, because I mean, Haugen's alone we would pay like at least over $10 for postage, so it's like,
Right.
it's just one letter. Because I don't think, or is it,
But is it you that sends this letter out or is it the tax director that sends this letter out? It's you, right?
I think so, I think it's still me.
Okay.
And I'm like, is it, well, now, okay, maybe I should leave it
You
because,
better be.
because is it, do I have to send a letter out just to each person, or do I have to send it for each of their parcels?
I think it's each of their parcels because it would be
Okay.
different districts.
Because they're all listed on there.
I would
now,
just
though.
leave it for now, just to
I'll
see
just
what
leave it
the-
for now.
what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Should I go to Sheridan?
No,
I better
it's, trust
just-
me, because some of it's been
Yep, you're
just
good.
channels of people to deal
No,
with.
I'm not there.
Well,
Do
Austin,
you
the
want the
guy
budget?
that I
You
talked,
want
or
the
not
budget?
Austin, Jordan,
Oh,
he's
I
the
didn't
actual
do
guy that
that.
writes
You're
all the
good,
checks.
you're
and
good.
does all the
It's-
Yeah, I know
I
where
have it-
the,
I
I
have
did
it
it
in your
when
I don't know
I
if
I
it's
did it
California. That's what I
last
got
time
paid.
when I was
Yeah.
sitting, yesterday when I was
Yeah.
sitting here, I got.
Yeah,
And-
yeah,
and
so-
the thing that I didn't like. And we got, this time around, we got a little money up front too.
Yeah.
So. No, they're. But no, I appreciate your concern, but yeah, we're on top of it.
That's good. No, I just didn't want anybody to go through that.
Yeah. Cause I actually had to work. Like,
Did we,
there was all this disaster and then that Sunday, I was supposed to work that whole weekend, but that Sunday he was pushing me there to get.
No,
stuff
not yet,
going
not
for
until
him. We told him, I
after
said,
the, project, the security.
if I gotta
project
work
is done,
weekend or after
and we're
hours, it's
hoping
gonna be
that
this
that's gonna be
much
done next week.
a day or whatever else.
If they get somebody
So
in
he
here for that.
proved it.
so that wouldn't, we don't need to worry about the new maintenance man doing that, right?
No, no,
Oh,
we'll
that's
just
all
do
right.
the first
That's all
initial
I'm
one.
concerned
Yep,
about.
yep, yep.
That's those papers.
That's all I'm.
I used to do
I'd
that.
like to get that done.
Prairie dog. you know,
Oh, yeah.
something else
Yep, after all of this.
in the back page was hard to understand. So the payments are gonna be. Some are monthly. And then it's from August to the end of the year, part of the payments.
So we're getting more money or less money? We're getting more money or less money?
Less money.
Looks like, yeah, we're getting less.
Suppose because we still got money left over from before, or is it?
No, I think we pretty much accounted for all the money, didn't we?
We counted it, but we haven't spent it.
Can
Oh.
we go and grab my
I think
notes from
that's
the
why.
others?
We got Prairie Dog.
Okay,
You,
Yeah. Hasn't been spent.
because you've been allocating it towards the, what is it, highway?
Well, it's just saved in the fund. Prairie Dog fund.
200,000 people in Fargo and West Fargo. How in the world do the rest of us get any money at all?
that's the problem.
Well,
I know.
Don,
One third of the population.
well, the other issue is that, like Don Vegas always says, that 2/3 of they got like 20 or 30 legislatures in Fargo
Well, I know,
versus us, he's doing, he's just 3 for our district,
but you know,
Because it's based on population.
Yep.
Legislator, right?
when you start talking about safety on a road, that really,
But I will say, if you look up the population difference from like versus like 4 years ago versus now, North Dakota's really growing. It is.
It's almost 800,000 just about.
well,
About 800.
city is what, trip, no, more than that. I forget how.
Oh,
But not only that, the oil boomers, like Watford City, Williston, they really grew, but now these small towns, are people from west are moving,
Yeah, that, well. a lot of it,
California,
yeah,
Washington.
It's just getting so expensive out there.
That
They
we're all
come
back
here,
here, so.
They sell their
You guys are
house, they
ready to
come
go
here, they buy a
whenever.
house. and
Okay.
Fix it up.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
so we're back in session here. We're talking about the 2026 budget, so you want to go first, Sam? Or-
Sure, absolutely. So in your file there, you do have the budget as it is right now. When I was out at convention, I thought that the 5-year running total could go back 5 years. And then any excess that we didn't levy over the 3% could be used through that. I was mistaken. No, the 3% starts now. So we are held to that 3%. And it does go towards the, any levies that have been levied, even if they were voted on. So the road department wouldn't be able to have their 30 mills because we levied the 22 last year. So they would be held to that 3% as well. The only ones that it does not qualify for is the emergency fund. The emergency fund, which we haven't levied for that in the past. Mm, Yeah, that's about what I got. It does not qualify for the water board. They are exempt. So that's kind of where we're sitting now. So you guys can only increase your budget by 3%.
What was our total budget?
Yeah, what was our total, how much did we budget last year versus how much did we levy?
So your budget last year.
Is it 1.9?
Yeah, let me grab it up here. So I'm not just spewing
And-
numbers here. So your overall budget, last year you levied 100 or 100, my goodness, 1,673,218.26. You levied,
No, that was what we levied was 1,600,000, but we actually budgeted like
I'm sorry, yes.
sorry.
No, thank you. Yes. Your overall budgets. Grab that other one.
For some reason, I thought it was 1.9. I was looking at the old emails and stuff to. Oops.
That was like 1.7 something.
No, because we pulled in almost 300,000 from Wayne's department to we lowered his budget almost like 299,000, whatever.
So the overall county levy was 4,478,310. That includes your library, your medical, your water resource, or like your fair citizens, all that. That is what you levied for, was the 4.4.
Okay, but I'm looking for the number that we had prior to pulling in that 299. We pulled in money from road, we lowered the road and we did something else to bring it from the 1.9 down to the 1.6. Because if we put in everybody's expenses then through here, it shouldn't add to 1.6, or is that how we lowered it was,
I thought we brought in some emergency funding too from
yeah.
some COVID funds and stuff like
No,
that.
you did that the year before.
Oh,
That's right.
Mhm.
oh, that was last year we did that too.
Nope, you lowered Wayne's budget to offset the levy.
Okay, so our levy was at 1.9, but we lowered his budget to,
And then we went down to like 1.6.
so then it's 1.6. So with that 3% on that 1.67 is what's the dollar amount that we can bring it to this year? And which of course that kind of messed up Wayne for this year because now he can no longer. Okay, I'm just gonna say this now, Wayne, I did not approve last year bringing that funds in because I knew it was gonna hurt us, but.
Why did, I don't remember why we did that. I remember the conversation.
I think we were just, because it was such a percentage increase, we had to bring it down.
Oh,
So they had such a huge carryover and they were able to have the reserve and everything. So then we could use that money to kind of offset the whole overall levy.
Right.
With those funds because he had such a huge carryover for that.
needed that big reserve because now we're stuck.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, the reserve is like 1.3 million is in your reserve account, I believe, last time I looked. I don't know how much we've used of it this year, but. And that will help with projects, you know. And then you have prairie dog funds, all those things that need to be.
I gave you a paper that shows that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, we have to be,
The last page.
we have to be careful, because whatever we have in that reserve account, we can't just have a savings account in the road department. We have to.
What we have to do is identify what we're gonna use.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
County Road 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's what you've been pretty much, again.
Yeah, pretty much
Yep.
talked.
As long as we keep dedicating it to something, we do great.
And what did we levy before? 19, this one? 1966 levy? No levy?
No.
I was visiting, just to move on, just to have a little dialogue here. I was working with Sam and the other department heads about setting up a matrix scale for a salary scale. And we have a couple examples that were really good. The downfall is what hurts us to set up matrix scale, which would be great for the deputies, but it's hard for the elected officials. It'd be great if we had a brand new one, because we knew where to start them at. However, these 3 elected officials make the same dollar amount, and we have 18 years, 11 years, and
Treasurer 3, but
3 years.
this year, and 7 years here.
7. So it's hard to put them on a matrix scale and say that at 7 years, you should be making this, and this is what so I have a hard time finding that out with those 3, you know, and figuring it. So I just kind of stopped, because I wanted to have a little bit of discussion as to, we can do it for the deputies. That's great, because I can figure out where they should be on the matrix scale, and every year of experience, they get so much on top of what, you know, let's say I struggle with giving a roundabout 3% raise, because I said before to these guys is that 3% to somebody who makes a lot of money is a lot of money. 3% to somebody who makes $1 is not very
Not
much.
Correct.
You know, so it's hard to give a blanket 3%, because,
And we had the same issue with road department last year, remember?
yeah, so it's kind of easier to give a dollar amount, or, you know,
Mhm.
how that works.
Well, I know we also talked about it too, just. Some of that is we just set the percentage ranges, but I know some of that too depend on what it is. And. You know, we're allowing this much percent to raise, but didn't we just kind of say it, let the department heads decide what the raises are and put it in their budget? Cause then we were just basically saying, bring, you know, cause some were putting the raises in there too, but they were putting the raises in, bringing it to us and saying this is what I need. But I know we also told them to take the raises out too, so who knows?
We were hoping for some guidance to be able to find something, but it's so hard with these 3 elected officials that are already at the same pay rate, unless you'd be like, hey, Kelly gets this much because she's been here for 18, you know, Sam gets this much because she's been here for 11, and since Maddie's the youngest, she gets this much, and it's all 3 different rates, just to give.
Not based on age.
No.
Basing it on years of experience.
Yeah, but you said youngest. I just wanted to clarify that it's not based.
I mean,
that- yes,
youngest
yes,
of
yes,
being in the position.
Yes,
Yes, yes. That's my only thought or suggestion with that, rather than saying these 3 get 3%. You know, maybe this one gets a little bit more, this one gets a little bit, you know, but not a huge differential where
But
it's.
it's also, we gotta remember, we're also a government entity, we have to treat everyone the same across the board.
Yeah.
Cause I know a lot of states and federal and all that, they give 1%, and give everyone else 1% or. Cause that's why, I think that's why they have that's why they release their, what is it, the index of percentage of raises that they do.
I think everybody's different on that. I think this was our only way to be able to get.
No, that's fine, I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just saying that, I don't know, being that we're federal, or not federal, but we're a government entity, so if we gotta look at this differently, that's only reason why I bring it up.
Yeah. Some of them, Steele County does theirs based on
Years.
Performance.
performance. So it's like this person can get 2%, this person can get whatever percent. So it's all based on performance based. And
So I can't give you what you can increase your budget on right now, because there are other factors like, new growth. And that should be coming from, Lynn, or our tax director here. I want to say this month I get that. And she is aware that she needs to give me that number. That goes into play in the whole thing. And yeah, so there's different calculations that I have to do for each one. There's the base year calculation and then the adjusted year calculation, and all of those need all of the numbers in there to give you the right number. So I don't have all of the numbers that I need to give you a number. It makes it very hard to start budget without those numbers. But if we can kind of start kind of going through, and then once I do get those numbers, if we are above that number, we can kind of come back and scale it down. But I do need some numbers from Linda.
And this is our first year that we have all of our sales tax ratio study in and completed.
Mhm.
And we have all the information back to be able to run our budget.
Yep, she just needs to put it into Dakota program so that I'm able to get, I mean, everything is an estimate until the state makes that final in October. I mean, they could come back and, even if we're at the 90%, they could come back and say that they want us at 93. But for the most part, we are, we have a very good idea of what everything is going to be. We can kind of go forward with that, but it still is considered estimate until that state tax equalization meeting. But yeah, so I do need those other numbers from her to be able to give you an actual number that we can increase. But it would be that 3%.
Okay.
So should we have Kelly talk then and Maddie?
Do you want to just start
Yeah,
going
that's what
through
I'm saying,
these?
that's what I'm
And
saying. Can we do
yeah,
that?
We've got peeps here. We
That's what I
could,
say.
and then we'll just discuss salary, wages,
Yeah.
when we find out numbers, how we can do it.
I guess my thing too, we're gonna have to have some more, it's August 11th, 10th, we have to have the preliminary done.
August 10th. Yep,
August 10th, we can't go up, we can go down.
correct.
So we're gonna have to probably have a couple special meetings in between.
Right,
You
and,
Follow me, just to work on this.
and I have like
That's my point.
the July 21st, the 25th, I am not in North Dakota. And then the August 8th and 11th, I'm also not here. So if you guys, I don't have to be here for this, but if I would appreciate it, if you want me to be here, I would like to partake in it. If we could do, I don't care if we even have a run of a few days, if we need to have a few days run to meet for a few days to get this done.
So you won't be here the 21st in the next scheduled meeting,
Mm-mm.
correct?
Nope.
Okay,
Oh, wait. Yes, I will be here that morning.
21st.
Yes, I apologize.
Oh.
Yes, I'll be the 21st, but the rest of the week I will not, in case you wanted to schedule more meetings that week.
Well, I'm thinking of this is let's have a meeting next Monday at the same time. What do you think of that, guys? Just on the budget. What do
I
you think
won't,
of that?
I won't be here next Monday.
Oh. What other dates would work?
Tuesday,
Tuesday?
Wednesday, Thursday.
With you guys, I don't know.
I don't know where I'll be.
Okay.
I'll just have to shoot with the hip.
Yeah,
So I don't know, depending on what it is, I don't have video for that.
yeah.
Okay.
Even if I can't make the meetings, I do trust that you guys will make the rates.
So you're,
How long does it gonna take for you to find numbers?
Yeah.
Maybe we should not set a date until you can get the full numbers.
yeah,
Okay, I will message Linda and
I think
see
that-
what,
that's probably the best, yeah. So, well, since you.
but let's kind of go through
Yeah,
them right
Kelly
now.
and Maddie
Yep.
are here.
Yep.
Yep.
Kelly?
Because I have a doctor's appointment.
Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
Okay, we'll sneak you a different day, Wayne.
So good.
Yeah.
He's leaving.
If you wanna, do you wanna speak before you go, or you gotta get your appointment first?
Hours to speak.
Okay.
We'll see you.
Thanks,
Thank
Wayne.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
At
Hello,
first,
Kelly.
what I'm gonna do is 40 these chairs. So
Yes.
don't squeeze
Yeah, we
any
need
more.
to get some WD-40 in his chair.
Well, I tell you what,
Course.
hopefully, if we get a maintenance man, we should
First thing,
give him a checklist and.
first thing.
Yeah, poor
Well,
guy.
on that note, we could talk about that one is the court
facilities grant, that's what I had to put in for is 12 chairs for this table.
More chairs around here. There's smaller
Right,
chairs. is that right?
smaller,
Get
a
new
smaller
chairs.
profile
I can't-
chairs.
What happens to the old chairs? We can buy
Because I
them?
can't get 12 of those around here. We tried one day.
For a jury, for a jury, that's
trial.
what you want,
Yep,
sure.
Yep, so I have to have,
Smaller ones.
the biggest we could ever, the largest amount we would ever potentially have would be 14. If we had a big trial where, we needed two alternates. It's been a long time since we've had that happen. We have had that happen, but we definitely don't want that kind of case here. So that was one of the things that I did put in, on the court facilities grant. That's on Schedule B, page 23.
You can't put that on the screen, can you, Sam?
I sure can.
Please, that's kind of.
Absolutely. Hold on one
Please.
second.
Greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
I got you.
Here we go.
Page 23.
This is why we spent the big bucks.
Mhm. But I want it full. Okay.
Okay.
That doesn't.
Hold on. Just
okay.
a minute. Just.
I can't quite see that.
Need binoculars.
Yeah.
Once.
How good's your bifocals?
They're progressive.
Oh, that's
It's,
what I,
it's the term we use.
that's
now.
what I got. That's what I have.
No.
Kelly, can you like take them off? So if you take them off.
Right, did you need to borrow them? Here, not so much. Here, I'm good. Okay. They're not quite Coke bottles yet. But,
When I
you know.
jump out of my truck, I look down.
Are you trying to do full
I look
screen?
through
I
the-
can't get the,
do
I
you
can't
have?
get the,
and then
because
I-
now it's not
Your steps are look like
it's
they're.
behind my
Oh.
thingy.
It's a struggle.
Ah,
It's a struggle.
there. I want it. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, there we
There you
go.
are.
Hey,
Which one's this?
cool.
Okay, so let's go to the courtroom grant.
Okay, I was gonna say, I could switch to whatever you're on.
No,
too.
Whatever you want to do.
Okay, so this isn't what,
That's what you're talking about, the 10,372 is what you're
this
talking
isn't
about?
the budget.
No,
that's we have in there. Okay.
The $6,500 is the
Okay.
estimate that I received for the 12 chairs, roughly. We added a little because the cost of them now may not be the same cost
We get 'em.
come January, because we apply for the grant December of this year, and they have their meeting the end of January 2026.
Okay.
And then we usually find out within, usually that day or two. And so February of 2026 would be when we could
I think I have that
purchase if
backwards.
need be. So it is,
They would cover, that would be our expense, right? Is this?
the $6,500 is the total amount, which we have to have the total amount in the budget.
Yep, and so then for the revenue part, I would.
It'd be 25% of that 6,500.
I think I have that backwards. Okay.
You'll get 25% back, you said?
We would get 75%. The county would have to pay the 25% portion of that
That's for
$6,500.
the chairs that you're talking about?
Yep, but I always put the full amount in there because we have to budget for the entire amount, pay it,
Yeah.
purchase it, and then get reimbursed for it.
Because sometimes too, that reimbursement's always not 100%, is it?
The reimbursement, we will always get 100% of the 75% that we're awarded.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
We always get that full 75%
I
back.
just want to make sure I don't.
Yep, just like for the camera security system, whatever it was, I think it was 60, whatever.
Whether we get it back right away or not, we are guaranteed.
Yeah, so whenever this project is completed and paid for in full, then I can send in reimbursements for that
Okay.
40-some thousand dollars.
Okay.
So we put the full price in there. Like I said, added a little cushion in there because we don't know what that cost will be come.
This is the revenue side, not the expense side, correct? Of the expense-
What you're looking at right now is your expense side.
Okay,
So this would be your expense.
okay,
And then the other spot, and that's what I'm trying to fix because I just put that we will receive 25%, but it's actually, that is,
75%.
yeah, we will receive 75. So just,
we'll receive
Yeah.
4875.
So we get budget for 6,500, but our total cost with the reimbursement is only 1,625.
correct. So
There
then
you
that's
go.
that's your revenue coming in. So it's on the
Okay.
one side and then it's on the other. So it's
Perfect.
Okay.
The only other discussion that I thought about as far as the courtroom grant was what was discussed earlier today with the ability for some of the offices on our end to have Because that's one thing that we've always discussed, you know, that if somebody comes in these other doors, we don't see
Anybody?
we wouldn't see if anybody had come in. So if that's something that we could, for the clerk's office, I think we could apply for part of that. If they don't deem it, you know, I think it would fall under that security portion, and I probably should have included that originally in there, but it was kind of an afterthought when we talked about it, because, you know, though we love having the cameras and the security and everything, just not having the ability to see if there is any foot
and
traffic there or coming, you
With
know.
some of the grant stuff too, I know we'll have money left over, and I know we currently do, maybe I think have a little left over. Some of this, depending on their budget, we might be able to put this under.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So,
I
but
mean,
depending
yeah,
on how that
budget
looks,
Just in case, but.
yeah, and depending on how that looks, you know, come December, if that's not something that, you know, you could still apply for it, we wouldn't have had set the money aside in the budget for it, for that piece of it. So that's something you can determine now or down the road, whatever you choose. But for right now, I just did for this table because I tried to put there's just with these large chairs, we cannot get 12 and they're, yeah.
What happens to these
They
chairs
serve
then?
their
They
purpose.
we put on bids?
We could see whoever in the courthouse would need some chairs
Chairs.
and, yep.
And then they would go on bids.
Bids,
for the-
correct.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, keep going, yeah.
And, you know, on that note or whatever, we haven't put that other ad in the paper for the property just because there wasn't enough to go on there to get in there. So we're waiting on Amber. So then this would be a perfect
Including
time
it.
to do.
Speaking of that, so like the end dump for the county, that would be on the same big listing? Okay, that's because somebody asked about that, you know,
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, just,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not
okay.
there.
That's
there
why,
yet.
okay,
Like that table on
Okay.
there, we should make sure that table's on there
Yep,
too.
yep.
So,
okay, keep going, guys.
yep. So there's that.
Another thing, with, Kelly's stuff, the clerk of court, revenue has been coming into the general fund. And in the past, the clerk of court the budget was in the general fund. It was pushed out into its, own fund, but the revenue kept coming into the general fund. So then that's making issues, for the bookkeeping side of the clerk of court.
How do you want to fix that?
I'm going to move it into the general fund, like it was in the past.
Okay.
That it does nothing for
It's
the.
just a
right.
paper move.
Yes,
Yeah.
so just so you guys are aware, you're gonna see it on this side, and then that revenue is still gonna come into to the general fund. All of her expenses are gonna come out of the general fund, but it makes no difference with how much we receive, from the state for her stuff. It makes no difference on anything. It's just
Correct.
bookkeeping on mine.
And I think on your end of it, all of those counts always appeared negative because of the way that it
Mhm.
was set up.
Yep.
And so trying to figure out
That's
where
right.
we are with any of that, and it really didn't
And it
serve a
was-
purpose
it-
being separated.
Yeah, so
And
it was half this, half that, and I was trying to get this budget to be zero net. And so then the salary looked like she was getting more for this, less for this, when
Yeah.
it's half and half and stuff. So it's just bookkeeping wise, but you know, just so that you guys are aware that that is the change within the budget that you're seeing.
Yep.
Oh.
So for clerk of court, I just kept, you know, obviously we didn't put anything in for salaries yet because we weren't sure, obviously, what we were doing there. But the dues, the supplies and the marriage license, that's all stayed the same. My dues have not increased. The supplies, we do go through a very large amount of supplies on that side due to all of the jury trials that we summon for. Envelopes are expensive. Envelopes are really expensive. So,
And
yeah, I just spent three.
It looks bare, that's why it looks bare, is
Yeah.
because it's a little bit over here on the seaside. And then,
right.
so I can bring this one up for you guys, just so you're able to see kind of what was in the past.
Yeah, so the only thing, again, the only thing that's missing is just the salaries, because, you know, it was just said, just leave those blank for right now.
So what I'm doing, in the red, if you guys see red, that needs your guys' approval to do that. So I'm transferring that over into the general fund so that then we're closing this.
Yep.
One in the budget.
Okay.
Yep.
So the only thing that's missing over in the other side is those salaries amounts.
No.
Yeah. So the next one would be recorder. Same thing. I kept everything the same. The dues are 500. I used to have travel in there. But I can take the travel out of the document preservation. Document preservation can be used for education. And that travel is for the quad meetings for our convention. So I just take that out of the document preservation. So right now, our dues are 500. And again, I have office supplies at 300. If I do go over that, I can take out of document preservation. So I've kept those all the same thing. I just didn't put any salary or any wages in there.
It looks like your dues actually were over in 2024. Was that the budget? That's the actual expense?
I think I don't know if I accidentally increased it. I thought it was going to 600. I'm not sure. Is that really correct? That actual?
So should it be, so then it should be 600
Well,
for.
maybe I better double check. I'm pretty sure it was just 500 was our dues. I know they increased, but I thought 500 was for our dues and our convention all in one. I'll double check
Okay.
if 500 or 600 is correct. I did make a mistake though. I accidentally paid for something twice this last year. So that's this year. I don't know. I'll check on that one. So I don't know what I did there. Document preservation, I just basically keep that one the same, right? It's one of those funds that so every document that is recorded, $3 from that document goes into the document preservation fund. It can only be used for document preservation purposes, training, computers, anything that I need for preserving documents, history.
How close you are catching up? What's your every year? I know.
I think we're in the 1960s. So we have 90 some years to go. It's a big process and it takes a lot of time. And
Last week,
Christy works on it a lot.
didn't you hire your daughter last year to help or something?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
She did some temporary stuff in the
stuff.
summertime.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
That's a lot.
So
Yeah.
they came up with some AI program that they have created to go in and try to do some of this.
Yeah.
And I got a quote on that, and that's not something I'm
To
going
look
to be
at.
purchasing. No,
Okay.
it's not realistic.
Okay.
And I did ask a convention, I asked how accurate that is with the old cursive is very difficult to read if you're not used. I mean, we're used to
Yes.
reading it because we've been
Back in
doing
the
it for so many years,
1900s.
but it is, and that was one of the questions I
What's
asked.
cursive?
Yeah, exactly. And their cursive is even different than ours now. So that was one of the questions that I asked it's a Tyler product. I asked them at convention how accurate it was with that. And they're like, well, that was one of our questions and we'd have to check that accuracy. So
Okay.
that's just not, like I said, I got a little quote for it and that's not something I would even bring forth. It would be wonderful, but I think for a large county, but it's not something that I think is logical for our county that size, that price. So everything else stayed the same. I kept it the same. If I always just keep it around that same, that 4,000 for that software digitizing. I have a plat scanner. If that thing were to, ever break, I think it was $3,500 when I purchased it, but it doesn't get used that often. It doesn't get used daily like our other scanners do. So
Okay.
I just keep that in just as a rough budget. It's one of those special accounts, so it can only be used for specific things. So kept that the same.
Under the revenue, Sam, you have the estimated revenue for 26 at 3,500. Is that's lower than what the estimated for last year's was, and the actual is 43. Did you
Yeah,
want to
so-
keep your revenue lower, Carol?
I don't, is that what I put in for? Okay.
I got you, girl.
So yeah, what I do is so the revenue that we get for DocuPro is again based on each document that's recorded is $3 that goes in there. Every document that we have goes out to our statewide systems called NDRIN, North Dakota Recorders Information Network. And we have 50 counties that are included in, we used to have 100%, but some broke out with their own program. And that is something that attorneys, abstractors, appraisers, surveyors, whomever can get a monthly, daily subscription to, where they can do their own research on there. And then they can make copies from there. So if they were to search for Griggs County records and they want a copy, they pay for it. And then we get a Endron check twice a year. The county gets reimbursed for that. So that's why it's important too for us. The farther we go back, the more records we have available online. And that's a system that the recorders, that program is a system that the recorders run. We have a company that manages it, but we have an Endron board.
Do you want to
So-
keep your revenue though at 3,500, which is less than what you had? Because then what my thought is last year, your revenue you put at 4,000 and your expenses are exactly the same as the year before. So now you're showing that you're gonna have a loss. So your revenue is gonna
Yeah,
be
I
less than
mean,
last
Hey,
year.
Ken, I don't know if that was
But the
just a
expenses
typo
are the
or
same.
This,
what I did.
this one, it doesn't matter, I guess, because we don't levy for this.
Okay,
This is an unlevied fund, so at the bottom, we still have, if we do it the way that we have it right now, we're still gonna end the year with $12,000 in the fund.
I think what I did there is I always take the average of 3 years and, get that average between the 3 years. I may have missed an Endron payment in there. That might just not be included because they're around that, anywhere from that $900 to $1,300, depending on how many copies that are made online.
I'm
So,
just making sure we tap into all the revenue we can get.
Yep,
You
yep.
know,
So this
Right.
one doesn't
Yeah.
matter because it's on its own,
Okay.
C
Yep.
drive or whatever,
And-
so that's
Yes.
not helping.
yes, okay.
and the
yeah.
other thing that affects that amount too is, so every month I do a monthly statement. Our abstractor purchases the documents and the data that we go back and that we're entering in. Every month I do a statement for them. And of course, the beginning of this, Christy works on that daily. And obviously the beginning of the year, we had a slow start to that, due to the situation. So that income is just going to be a little bit lower for the first quarter of this year. So that may have been what affected that too, because I just did an average, but otherwise everything else is the same there. County Victim Advocate. I haven't been in charge of this fund for several years. I think
So that's that one that we just
2013.
paid out today.
The 9,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was in 13 or 14 that I got switched over to, I can't remember. I think it was the last time that I had worked on this. So
With that being said, with this one is not again, a levied budget.
Okay.
But what we are saying is that we were going to but estimate of the expenses was going to be $3,750. We did do 9,000 today.
Yep.
Now the policy of how we've done budgets in the past is we have done where it's our estimate expenses were always what the budget was. Now that we know that we paid more out than that, do you want me to put that in here? Or are we just keeping it the same, putting in the budget and just going forward? With this one, it makes no difference. On another budget, it could.
What makes more sense to you?
This, kind of, I think is well, because then I'm keeping it the same, some budgets might be higher, some budgets might be lower, and we just have, this is the policy that, how we do it. But, there is certain things like, Wayne knows that he's going to receive more revenue, but, that's not what's in the budget. So then I keep it the budget amount when he knows he's going to do this. So it's totally up to you of how you want to do it. But I mean, if you want to just continue doing it the way that we have, it's worked and it's worked well. So
I will go with your, whatever you prefer.
perfect.
Yep.
We'll keep it.
And this one, I just put $1,000 because this is a fund that it's collected at $25. It's a fee that is assessed to individuals at court, victim witness fee of $25, and it's put in this fund, and it can be used for specific things. And in the past, we have paid money to the Abused Persons Outreach Center in Valley City. That's who we send our individuals to when they come in for domestic violence situations.
And you're manning this position to where how often are we gonna send these checks out? Or
I think we talked about once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah. So I think the amount was a little over $9,000 right now. So
You
that's
want me
why.
to write it somewhere?
yeah, I think we should have that in
I
writing
thought
somewhere
we
for,
did, we put in right, or, cause we voted on it.
we voted on it, but I think as like a nice little
Ooh,
policy that's written somewhere instead of having to find them,
right. That'd be a good idea.
like a.
Yep. Get it once a year. And so, like I said, the value I think was $9,800, I think was the balance currently. So I just did the $9,000 payment. So there is a little over 800 in there as of, I think, last month or month before. So that's why I just figured we'd disperse 1,000, because I don't know really where to start with
Right.
that, because it's one of those special funds that, again, doesn't affect our budget.
Correct.
It's a special account.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
any questions with my stuff or? Otherwise, everything, stayed the same as previous.
Okay.
So, Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly.
yep.
Maddie, you're next. You're up.
I'm up.
Woohoo. See, she's thrilled.
And I
You're on the hot seat.
didn't change anything, I don't think the only thing I did was, did you put in the salary increase that no, okay, so then we're good. I don't think I changed anything.
Okay. You're easy.
Yep, I kept everything the same.
The one thing that Maddie and I had talked about was her supplies and materials. We don't send out the estimated tax statements anymore, but another letter is going to be sent out with, where these people can be viewing the budgets and the notices. My recommendation was to keep it the same, just
Okay.
because,
You never know.
there's still that postage, there's still that paper, there's still all of that stuff that's so.
When you get everything sent down too, when we do set our budget and all that, you post it online and everything too, don't you? Or can't you do that?
Post our budget online?
No, but I mean like. Post on our website, like here's what our budget's gonna be in case.
Mhm.
Okay, you do post all that?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know if I did it last year because we didn't have the new a website, but
Now we
no,
do.
there's
Yeah.
spots for all of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just cause people don't, there's people that, like you said, you mail us out property that. I'm not gonna lie, sit empty
Mhm.
and all that, and people still wanna know what it's gonna cost them or their budget or whatever else, so. It'd be nice if we post it on the website, obviously they gotta have a link or something like that to click to, but. That way they can at least look up what our budget's gonna be and everything else.
And that's what this letter is gonna say is like, our budget hearing is gonna be October, whatever.
Okay.
The budget can be viewed in the office or at this,
Correct.
Okay.
so
Yeah.
all of that information has now been changed. And so that's the
Okay.
information that's
Okay,
gonna go
yeah.
up to you guys now.
Yours is easy. Look at
Yep.
you.
That's it. Wow.
Yep, that's it.
Can't lower any expenses at all, cause we only. That's
luck.
Possibly
3%.
next year with the supplies, cause I'm like, I don't know what the letters.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know if
No.
it's for each parcel or if it's for each
Right.
property owner, so I'm like, we'll just keep it the same just to be safe and.
Well,
we'll
it
do it
just
again
sucks
next
because
year.
even though we still gotta send out something because
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that still don't have computers and everything else that still wanna know what it is,
Yep.
right?
Right.
So-
Yep.
Right.
So if you want to go on to mine, mine didn't change as well, stayed the same.
Okay.
I know,
The salaries aren't in there, but
I know on 2024 budget, you did raise it a little bit due to the election or whatever.
Expenses.
that was within your general fund, and so I'll get to
Oh,
that now.
okay.
Your office supply says you have 4,000, but your budget's only 1,000. Is that is that?
Okay, auditor, hold on, go back. Okay, that 4,000, if you remember, that is what I spent this, I bought this table. And I used deputy
Yes.
auditor funds since I didn't have a deputy for so long.
That's right.
I transferred that in, but it still got taken out of the supplies budget so that, it can be
Yeah.
tracked that way.
Perfect.
Yep, yep.
That's perfect.
So no, I don't want to increase
Okay.
into the.
Yeah.
Out at convention, we did talk about this election budget because, with this 3%,
Yeah.
they didn't take in account
that. Yeah.
the election, and the Association of Counties did apologize to all of us that they didn't even think about it. They didn't even bring this up to the legislators because they didn't even think about it. And now a lot of the counties are being stuck, and that 3% is just their election budget. So hopefully with, I'm trying to keep it, I try to keep it as low as possible. We do the 30,000. One thing that we could think about, is charging the cities a little bit more. I do charge the cities $200 per city to run, because their election stuff is on our ballots. I do, all the things. That is one thing that we can look at. But I mean, not a decision you need to make now, but that is a revenue on the other side of it. But I do the 30,000. And that's kind of, you really can't cut
No.
anything with that, unfortunately. So,
No.
and training does start this year, so I will start using that other 10,000. So it's not like we can decrease that and add it, somewhere else too. I mean, I'm not going to take the whole 10,000.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying,
Right.
but,
We should have an audit expense in there too, because there should be an expense every year for audits.
I do have that in here.
I have, and how much for 2025.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I didn't know how much I was going to talk to Harold. That's what I
Okay.
was going to do.
We're done.
About how much, if he was going to keep his fees the same and if we were going to need to
Sure.
do that there. So
Yeah, what year are we up to that we?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you, how close are we now?
I want to,
We're almost caught up.
Yeah, just about, I bet.
I want to say so.
23?
I think we were on 23.
I think you're right. Oh, pretty close.
I'm gonna get in contact with Harold on
Yeah.
all of that so that we
Okay.
know, how much to put in this budget line and then which years he's up to.
Yes, because
So when he was here, that's what he said, it was 23 and that he was
Was it?
starting on.
24, yeah,
Cool.
he's done a great job,
Yeah.
getting everything all caught up,
He's,
Just
the schools too,
And the cities.
cities, they just everybody, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Isn't that crazy? We spend $11,000 on postage.
mhm.
It's an electronic world, and yet we're still having to budget 13,000 for postage.
And did postages go up too?
Yeah,
Just a little.
it's like 68 cents.
68, 69.
Now,
Oh.
I know, we try to do as much as we possibly can, over the internet,
Mhm.
just to save on postage, we invoice and everything, and we prefer it, but
Yep.
not everybody,
Mhm.
but
I am still waiting on the budget, kind of memo from Linda Sahovic. She's wonderful. So that you're not seeing the state aid in here. You're not seeing just different things you're not seeing in here because those numbers do come from her. And, this year there's a lot more that goes into it on her side. So she's a little behind on it. But she said that she'll be having that come out.
Do those numbers go up or down, do you think?
State aid,
Who knows?
yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know
Great.
that. It'll tell me how much prairie dog funds we're gonna get. It'll tell
Yeah.
us how much this is. It'll tell much how much our, an estimate for our workers' comp. I mean, it's a wonderful thing and,
Yeah.
and I'll send it out to all of you once I receive that back
Sure.
too.
Anything else there? Yours?
Well, if you guys want to talk about like the big hard things, within here, there is the health insurance.
Well, this would be, I think it'd be a good place to stop.
Stop.
Yeah, what do you think, guys?
with the health insurance, we can have a little discussion with that, but
Yeah,
if ND PERS, I'm sure has great coverage. I'm sure it has great, but it is very expensive. I would suggest, not saying that we have to change.
no, I know.
I suggest that we should shop and get a little other different prices
I've started.
oh, you're wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've started that. They're just asking for a little bit more information and then I will get that over to them. And I'm hopeful to have some more information to you guys by the next meeting.
Okay.
We can kind of discuss that too, but
Perfect.
I did talk to some people out at convention about what they do. There is an ND Fit. And that's not much better for the cost, unfortunately. I am looking into Blue Cross and Blue Shield about the same plan that ND PERS offers, plus a different plan. So I'll have some of those for you and hopefully by the next meeting. So.
Okay.
Yeah, we had to, we changed plans at the nursing home because all of a sudden you start your first year, it's great. All of a sudden next year they go up 21%. It's like, come on now. And the only way that you can have the same same expense, cost wise, they change the plan so that you're all of a sudden your deductible's higher. It's like, well, that doesn't help me any. I mean, I don't offer the cat's meow to my staff, but I also don't have a horrible plan. I have one that is a good plan to the staff that the facility can afford, and it allows us to even offer more coverage because I'm able to afford it, so that does help, but.
Our plan is, basically, like if it's a single, we cover it. But any, dependents, you have to pay those. dependents.
Yep.
But it's actually very reasonable with a good deductible, but we are also grandfathered in before, everything started changing rapidly. So, because they bit the bullet and they kept the same insurance company throughout the years.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
okay. Well, I'll do that, Sam. Yeah. And then future business. What do you have so far?
Just the 2026 budget.
Okay.
How would you guys like me to proceed with the matrix scale with the salary? Do we have any ideas? Do you want me to, or should we just wait until we can find out what our bottom number is, and then,
We can just see
That's
what
fine.
our official numbers and make our adjustments from there.
okay, I could,
It'd be nice, I don't know, I think, talking to Travis, I wonder if he's not gonna keep everything the same on IT budget and stuff like that too. I mean, it'd be nice to know what he's gonna do.
Correct.
I think he plans on trying keeping it this far.
Travis, for the IT budget, he kept it the exact same as last year. He didn't increase anything. The only thing that, we're going to change within his budget is just on my end, is labeling them differently. And it'll be a one-time, it's called a one-time project, and that, was the laptops for the sheriff's office, the 1 year, and then it was the road department internet, just those one-time year things or whatever. But nope, he didn't make any changes to his budget as far as from last year.
okay.
Okay.
And as far as the matrix scale, just an idea how it goes, I can, every year it's a separate dollar amount of like an automatic increase as to what your raise would be. And let's say we decide, oh, you know what, our starting wage for the deputies is not going to be $19 anymore. We're gonna have our starting wage be $19.50. You plug in $19.50 in the starting wage part, and the rest of them will make the adjustments. So then when the person is at year 5, you give them the year 5, raise, which is whatever the figure is, so I can do that with the deputies. Again, I just can't do it with the elected officials because we have too many year spans between them to be able to do that. And I can do a starting wage, we can figure out a starting wage for them, but I can't unless you guys want to just figure a starting and then keep it rolling and just know that the elected officials are going to be not according to their, I don't know. I can work on that.
Okay.
But if you guys have any suggestions, please call me and throw me your thoughts. Yeah.
Okay.
Do
Anything
you
else?
like that 3%, or do you like a certain raise for everybody?
Well, that's why she wants the matrix scale, because basically you can go, if they did really good that year, they'll get that 3% versus if they did poorly that year, we're only gonna give them a 1%, basically is what I think you're trying to argue, correct?
Well, this is just based on years of experience. You just kind of go
Yeah,
up every year. You just go up on the matrix scale. And then if we decide to have a starting point, and of
So
course.
then it would be like the cost of living would be added to the starting wage and then it would go down. So the cost of living wouldn't be associated with the longevity. It would be that,
Well,
that would be here and.
I just remember with the highway department, you know, the guy that made $60,000 a year and got 3%, and the one that got 20,000 got 3%.
See, that's, we discussed. I know.
That's my struggle.
That's the struggle. We know. That's our
Mhm.
problem. I know.
That's-
We struggle with
all.
that. Because when you have such a vast wage difference, you know, it's so hard, you know, because the person who does make 60,000 is going to get a nice wage versus the person that makes 20,000. And it's,
Barely gets enough to have coffee.
it barely covers
Pretty much.
the expense of, you know, everything else. So, I mean, I'm not saying we should not give the person who makes 60,000 a raise. I'm just saying it shouldn't be, I struggle with the flat 3
Yeah.
across the board.
I
Mhm.
understand. I just,
And I think the ones that have been here, the dedicated employees or that have been here for 18 years, glorious years. Is it 18 or is it 19? And 11. I do feel that, you know, that says a lot because we don't have that a lot anymore. People don't stay for,
More than 5 to 10 years at the moment.
right? Some of us that are, yeah,
And the road has a lot of longevity.
30, 40.
right.
Those guys have
You
been
know,
here a
40,
long
40
time.
something for
I
Wayne. I
just
think.
remember who was making the decisions with the highway department. They were making them because they were the higher paid ones.
I know, another thing too that get brought up to me, and I don't know if we have money for a budget for it or not, but another big thing is us collecting a deal per meeting.
Correct.
Oh, I know. As the auditors or the commissioner's budget, we passed that page, it's completely blank.
That's been a while.
And
And I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't do it, but I can't count how many people I've talked to. They're not happy about the budget, but they also look at me and say, regardless, you deserve to be paid.
yeah,
That's what I hear too.
yeah.
I'm not saying that we're gonna go and levy for that, but let's just keep that in thought.
Well, last year, my thought was on that topic was $100 a meeting that you attend.
Yep.
You know, that it's,
It's fair.
I thought that was fair because most meetings do take 3
Yeah, I
hours or
know.
2 hours, 4
Yeah.
hours, you know, it's,
Like me, you, everything, like today, I'm losing half of.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm self-employed, but so. is Rod.
Yesterday, I almost lost another half a day's pay, so
right.
that's the thing, that's a huge hit
Correct.
on my.
I agree.
And that will hinder people from wanting to be a commission because they can't afford to run and partake on this. I mean, yeah, you're off the road.
Yeah. Same to you.
This is money for
I've-
both
I've-
you guys.
I've heard the discussion of if you do get paid, then you have skin in the game.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
follow me? Anyway, okay, let's wrap this up, guys. I need to get to, anyway, so.
I'll make a motion.
To adjourn, my favorite time of the.
Yep, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Any discussion? One last time, one discussion. All in favor, motion to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to, against, say nay. Motion carried. Okay,
You want to sign that letter?
yes.
Thank you guys. It's a good meeting.
Yeah, it's fine. Thank
It
you.
was adjourned at 12:12.
12/12.
Next meeting,
July 31st,
21st.
21st at 9:30, this courtroom.
I'll talk.
Or this